yes. No audio, no sound, no sound. You're muted. Can hear Baku. Can hear Baku. I will do the intro this evening. Hey, welcome folks. Welcome back to HitPoint, the anime news show, the RPG news show, the niche news show, the show that whatever gets us excited. I don't know what Derek says. We'll be previewing trailers. We'll talk about rumors. No, we're not going to talk about rumors. And we'll answer questions and comments from the super chat in the end. We stream live every Sunday except for last Sunday because we took off for Memorial Day. Yes, that's about it.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. I think y'all can hear me now.
Can people hear Derek now?
Yeah, they
can we get a confirmation in the chat, please? Hello,
yep,
everybody.
Yeah, we're good. Hey, everybody! It's so good to see you. And thank you, Baku, for filling in for my microphone that was completely delayed. It's funny, we get together for like an hour before these streams just to make sure that nothing is like going wrong. Turns out I can't hear the HitPoint music playing before the show, so I'm like, oh, I'll just listen to the show live, and then it's like going through my headphones, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm on a delay, so I need to switch the scene. and then I thought I nailed it too. I thought I was doing pretty good.
You absolutely nailed it, and no one heard it but me. So take my words for it. Derek nailed it, absolutely crushed it. It was the best intro he has ever given, ever.
And it was for an audience of
none
one.
of you heard it.
You love it. Welcome to HitPoint, everybody, the most professional podcast on all of YouTube. We've got a great show lined up for you today because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there were a few things that took place over the last week or so that, well, we're going to need to do a little bit of recap on. I did my best to capture some of the cool stuff during the last episode of JRPG Weekly Update, but I think that there's some things that we left out that didn't strictly fall under the idea of like what is an RPG, and some stuff that just totally flew under my radar. So before we do dive into that, though, I think it'd probably be a good idea to take a look at some of the comments that we got from last week. Do you want to kick us off here, man?
Yeah, let's do it. From JB0258. Some of my favorite games in recent years have been indies. Hollow Knight, Bug Fables, Chain Echoes, Aiden Chronicle, Blasphemous, Sea of Stars, so many amazing indie games. Not just great games, but some of the best JRPGs and Metroidvanias I've ever played. Thank you so much for writing to us, JB. Yes, absolutely agree. It's not even like there's no qualifier like, oh yeah, these are some of the best indies I've played. No, these are some of the best games period I played, and they happen to be indies. It's the world that we live in now, and that's a great thing.
I know, it's so
to celebrate
wild.
About. Yeah, I know.
Especially when you consider the budget that or the practically no budget that a lot of these are running on, and how hard they are hitting. Like, man, if only there was like some sort of studio that could like publish indie games or small studio games, like remember Enix back in the day that would just like, oh, here's a quintet game, this looks pretty cool, yeah, we'll publish that, and then they just, that's what they do. Like I'm sure that there's something like that, but
yeah,
oh well, at least we get to fund them now this time, and that's pretty dang slick.
I just want to remind folks that back in the day, a lot of these major companies were basically indies themselves. Then they grew bigger and bigger, and then they have their, initial public offering, and then before you know it, they're a giant corporation. But at some point, they were just small little companies. Final Fantasy is called Final Fantasy because if that game didn't work out, they're closing doors. Remember that. So. You know what's crazy, Derek? I think what make these indies so great is part of what makes some of these companies like from the yesteryear so great.
They're
And
scrappy.
that is like, yeah, the lack of resources and the force to be like innovative in other ways. Like it's nice that people throw money at, people who do great work, but
Hmm.
sometimes people learn to do great work because they have constraints, right? So it's like this delicate balance that big companies no longer have to worry about. While these indies are like, well, we have like 10 developers we have to make do. What are we going to do? Like,
You
what
know,
can we do? Right.
I gotta say, sometimes like my best work is done when I'm desperate. I mean, and and I mean that like in such a I don't know. I feel like there's something very human about that. Like
Mhm.
sometimes circumstances force you to dig deep for crazy inspiration to do some wild ideas,
Mhm.
and that doesn't happen very often when you've got a nice cushy, couple billion in the bank that you're sitting on, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
That's the
yeah.
thing. All
We got
right.
another one here from Anthony Herrick 425. This was actually a super thanks from them. They said, "Thanks. This show has top RPG knowledge. Should I be concerned that I get more excited for new indie releases? I believe that we are at a turning point in the industry, not a crash." And I
Yeah.
do agree that that's very very much what feels like what's happening. I would say no, I shouldn't say that on stream.
You shouldn't say on stream.
I was
Derek rarely has intrusive thoughts where he goes, I shouldn't say it on stream. So now I'm curious.
I was gonna quote the end of like an Enzyte commercial about, if something lasts more than 4 hours, maybe consult a doctor. But but I don't think that there's anything to be too worried about if you're
Mhm.
getting more excited about indie releases, because honestly, they are just uh, they they are where it's at this point. I mean, some AAA games you cannot beat some AAA experiences, right? The new
Mhm.
Final Fantasy VII I hear is phenomenal. The part one I really enjoyed, and I should play part two at some point,
Mhm.
and I will. But but there's something about the indies that just feel more like the retro stuff that I love. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah. Oh man, I saw a trailer for an RPG earlier that somebody was making that looked a little bit like PlayStation 1 style, like polygon graphics.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if it's in our docket today. I don't. It probably isn't, but because they reached out directly via email, but I'm like, oh man, this is cool. I should.
Oh, you should have told me. I,
hmm.
I would have added them in.
I forgot about it until just now, but like the
S-
PS1
s-
style graphics,
yeah.
just something about it just get me.
Send me the name. Maybe I can find them really fast.
Okay, I'll go digging through my email while you take on this next
Yeah.
topic.
Yes. This one, next one is quite long. Is from Emulation Emperor 8924. Might be a hot take. I don't know, but I don't think streaming services are fundamentally different from cable anymore. Streaming was only novel because it was outside the cable ecosystem, but now we're seeing streaming services bundled together, different tiers, just like cable was and still is. But now the novelty, binging seasons, has kind of died down. People really enjoy having weekly content distributed to them in bite-sized chunks, either 30 minutes or an hour for a show, maybe a couple hours if you are watching a lot of things concurrently. And they kind of go into like video games and cable model. So I want to thank you for writing a very long and rather insightful comment. Um, but yeah, and also back to the previous one too. I forgot to mention this, but there were a lot of comments about your favorite indies and whatnot. I just want to say thank you really quick for all the folks who spent time to let us know about different games that they had found that are indies that they really enjoyed. That's what I had forgotten to say earlier. But back to this. Yeah, so this is in regards to our conversation about streaming services and like video games and Game Pass and whatnot. Um, yeah, I mean, for the most part, streaming services are pretty much starting to play its course through capitalism. You can have like 10 different services, they start buying each other out, and then before you know, you have like a handful of firms that are competing, but they're basically like what we call like a monopolistic competition. High was a high cost of entry, right? You can't just like start. a streaming service and have all these content and compete with like Amazon and Netflix and Disney Plus, like you would be able to just like open a restaurant. Not that opening restaurant is inexpensive, but relatively speaking, yeah, you know, um, and that's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time that that happens. Uh, so when folks are like, "Oh, we don't have," we have all these companies that are competing on like like the animate space. You have like High Dive, for example, Crunchyroll, Funimation got eaten up already, and then you have whatever else company like what was that? What's the one company that Disney owns? Dang, my friend used to work there. Hulu. Hulu is streaming
Oh,
anime, right?
they
Netflix has anime. So
Disney
like,
owns
let's just
Hulu
talk.
now.
Disney's always owned Hulu. Oh, not always, but they've owned Hulu for a while now, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh.
So, or at least maybe not own, but at least like have like a very large share.
Stake in it,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Sorry, I don't want to speak on that too much because I can't remember, but I just know like Disney is like heavily invested in Hulu. But yeah, but you've got all these companies, and
Yeah, Disney owns Hulu. I just looked it up.
oh, they do. Okay,
Yeah.
so I wasn't wrong. Yeah, and you're gonna have competition, but then some people are like, oh, I wish it was just like one place where I can just get all my anime, right? But
Yeah.
think about it.
I know of one place.
What, Crunchyroll?
Uh-uh.
Oh, Pirate Bay. Uh, yeah, if you only have one company that allows you to stream anime, then they have a monopoly. Like, is that what you really want? But then when you have
No,
like
but I want the
10 companies
convenience of a
competing,
monopoly.
but then they can charge whatever the heck they want, and you can't
Exactly.
say no. So
Yeah.
it's like you want competition, but you also don't want too much competition because now it's turning into like a cable thing where like you have to buy packages from like different places just so you can watch all your shows. It's a hard like you can't have it both ways, I guess. Like how would you be able to ensure that there's competition so no one has strict monopoly, but not so bad that like I there are 30 different services, I want to watch one show from each place.
Well,
It's just really hard.
I think that one of the things that that argument kind of loses sight of is,
Mhm.
so let's bring it to video game side of things for a second.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Valve has Steam, and for the
Mhm.
longest time there was no real competitor to Steam, and arguably there still kind of isn't.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
the Epic Game Store exists,
Mhm.
and through bribery of free games, some people have installed Epic Game Store, but they don't
Mhm.
generally prefer it.
Mhm.
People will still come back to Steam. And
Yeah.
Gabe Newell's perspective on this is that um, he I think realizes that piracy is a competitor,
Mhm.
even when they have a practical monopoly, and that is who they are competing against to provide a more competitive service, to a more convenient service than piracy.
Mhm.
So I think that, because I mean, Valve is a very special company in a few ways.
Mhm.
The fact that they know and they are cognizant of this situation where if we can't afford the games that we want, people are going to probably pirate them, um, as opposed to giant media companies where they're not so much they don't realize that they're competing against piracy for, as far as a convenient delivery method of whatever.
Mhm.
um but they're gonna find out again soon at this rate. um so
Yeah.
so the thing is, I think what separates Valve from these other streaming services,
Mhm.
or other services in general, is that
Mhm.
Valve is not providing they are not the publisher. They are
Right.
providing a platform
Yep.
where publishers can put things for sale.
Mhm.
Maybe we need something like that, a streaming service where Netflix isn't the producer of whatever, or the whoever this platform is not the um they're not the publishers themselves. It is just a platform that somehow rises to the occasion, and anybody can put anything on there
Hmm.
for streaming or for purchase or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, I think we need some sort of Steam for media. You know,
Uh, I mean that we
something
kind of
that's
have
almost
something like
something
that.
almost independent
We, we
of.
kind of have something, and it's
Mhm.
called Amazon. I mean, you kind of can buy shows on Amazon and technically own it, and they are large enough to keep it, and so that they don't run into the Funimation problem where like Funimation sold these like access to things, and then I mean they tried to, and then they got bought up by Crunchyroll, and then they're like, yeah, sorry, we're not going to honor this anymore because we no longer exist. um that's sort of the problem ultimately.
Mhm.
I mean, people talk about GOG where you do own the thing, because even when it comes to Steam, you still don't necessarily own it, right? Like
Well,
you,
you have
you
a
gotta
license to it,
log
but
on to play.
yeah.
It's a lot of things. But yeah, but to your point, like that's the big difference between streaming and like owning the media, like actually having data, and being able to replay it independent of some platform. Like, you don't have to
Mhm.
connect to anything. Like I bought a
It
DVD, I turn on my DVD player, I play the media. Like that's it. I don't need to be like, hey Sony, I'm about to play my DVD now. Like that's the huge difference right there.
Did you know
Mhm.
that if you buy a TV show or a movie from, oh gosh, what was it? It was Walmart's brand of whatever.
Walmart.
Voodoo. Yeah, Voodoo. If
Okay.
you because you could buy media through that service as well.
Hmm.
Um, but did you know that when you buy that digital service, you can watch it through whatever app, but you cannot actually download it?
That is so strange.
Yeah. I we Amy and I used to rent and buy TV shows and movies and stuff when we lived in Seattle, before
Hmm.
we cared a whole lot about physical media. We have like 20, 30 movies on there that we cannot access right now because we're not installing the Vudu app. Um, but yeah, you can have a license to it and just not be able to access it digitally to put on like your computer or to put onto your phone or on your own personal streaming service, which really grinds my gears.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
not a fan of that.
That is very strange. That is very strange.
Yeah,
All right. Also, I got your story, so I'm gonna type something up real quick if you want to take the last one.
you betcha. Here, let me put this on a new line here. Okay, so we have one more comment from Andres, who says the cost of Game Pass is destroying the industry. They said you counted U.S. costs of the service, but it has regional pricing. And in Argentina, for example, it costs less than $2.
Hmm.
All people I know are that play on PC use Game Pass and stopped buying games. I know the Argentinian market is small, but this is replicated almost in all of Latin America and
Mm-hmm.
in other countries. And the amount of money spent by people that already bought the games goes down as well. Why buy something like Senua 2? I'm not sure what that is, or Hi-Fi Rush if I
Mm-hmm.
can play it for $10. And
Yeah.
that was another whole part of the mathematical equation I was talking about last week that I hadn't even stopped to consider. Regional pricing. So I mean, I'm guessing that games also have some regional pricing as well, but holy cow, when you think about like getting unlimited games for $2, like I can barely get a soda at a grocery store for $2, let alone infinite games. That's wild, man.
Infinite games sounds like some cheat code that you like a kid would dream up,
Yes.
like I'll have infinite game, please.
So that was just something else that I wanted to pull aside because I was like, wow, mine just exploded right there for a second, because like
Mhm.
already this is like, yeah, I can kind of see how this could negatively affect like the buying, like the amount of money people are pumping into the games industry. And then I turn around and it's like this, I mean, uh, hmm, yeah,
Mhm.
that's all I really had to say about it. Holy cow, man. uh,
Yeah.
I'll
The economy
also,
is crazy.
yeah, I'll also go on to say that uh, we didn't have a voicemail this week. However, if you would like to leave us a voicemail, you may do so at the number on your screen, 785-337-3805, and we'll play it on the air. And we haven't had a voicemail for the last couple of weeks. It's been a little bit lonely on the air out here. But hey,
Very sad.
if you're, watching from elsewhere and you just don't want to call long distance, I get that too. You can send us a voice file over to hitpoint at superderekRPGs.com, and we can, yeah, we'll discuss it on the air. And yeah, also, yeah, just a reminder that we'll be reading some super chats at the end of the show as well. So if you cannot wait for next week, just throw in a super chat and we'll discuss it right then.
Right there and then.
Yeah, right then and then, right then and then, right at the end.
All right.
All
Also, I
right.
typed out their story, so here
Oh,
it
cool.
is. Yes, it's not hard once you've done this for like 2 years.
All right. So let's throw this up here because we got a lot. We got a lot of games to talk about.
Oh yeah, we have a crap ton of games to talk about. Uh,
So
yeah.
just to preface this, I know that in the last few weeks, Baku and I've been doing very discussion based podcasts, and it's been a lot of fun. We always have said though that when there are big events, we might do a little bit more trailer heavy stuff, and today is gonna be a little trailer heavy. We still though have something special discussion planned for the end of the show. So stick around for the industry news side of things.
Yes.
But before that, we have the marvelous showcase to recap, and man, I'll just start off with this one here
Mhm.
from Farmagia, because
Yes.
it's such a cool little trailer, but also it's this is definitely thumbnail fodder for the next few months, I think.
Yep. Anime singing, yay!
Oh yeah, I should probably
That's
turn
the
that down a little bit
yes.
now
That's
that you
the
mentioned that.
main character
The dragon?
that we just saw just now. No, the dude, this dude, the not Natsu. I call
Ah.
him not Natsu. Here's not Natsu. Here's not Gray. Not Lucy. uh, some kid
Not some kid.
and grown up Wendy.
Are these
If you know, you
characters?
know.
I was gonna say. Oh, I was gonna ask you. So you're just making up names?
Oh no, they did give actual names, but I am just that's my name for them. They did give names. I think the main character's name is 10, like the
Oh,
number 10.
Okay.
Grown up Wendy, she changed her name to Chica apparently, but like we're looking at the art and we're like, wait a minute, is that the fire? Is that the fairy tale like emblem on her arm? Like, is that the guild tattoo on her arm still?
Oh.
Like, wait, what is that? We saw something on her arm that looks suspiciously like a fairy tale tat. It's on her right arm, so you couldn't see it. But yeah, it's not Natsu, not Lucy. And so having said all those names, of course, this game is coming from the fairy tale creator. For those who don't know, it was previously called like Project Magia,
Yeah.
but now is Farmagia. Whatever. Anyways,
So it's either is it Farmagia or is it Farm Agia? That's the real question.
It's a farming slash monster. I'm just kidding. I have
I
no
hope
idea
not.
what game this is supposed to be, because people are speculating that this is like a monster collection card dueling game but like I haven't seen any actual gameplay, so I can't even tell you what's in it. But bravo, marvelous. It is diligently under development.
All right.
And we're gonna go through a couple of these pretty quickly because we don't have like
A
but
whole lot
these are
to
just the
say.
highlights. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a store there's a new story of seasons being created, which is pretty exciting for folks who are a fan of the old story of seasons game. Like I think that there's like no battle, it's just straight farming, which I know one of my friend really likes. In fact, she really didn't like Rune Factory. She didn't care for what's that one game, Harvestella? She didn't care for that because
Oh,
it's like, yeah, she
yeah.
doesn't want to play RPG.
I've
She
heard good
really
things
just
about Harvestella, but it's not a
yeah,
farming
yeah.
game. Yeah.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard good things about Harvestella too, which is
Yeah.
sad because it feels like it's one of those games that happened to get cannibalized or misrepresented. The right people didn't get the game, and all the people got the game for the wrong reason. I bought the game for that friend for her birthday
Hmm.
because she's like this huge fan of like farming games. Like what is it called? What is that one game on Steam that is still
Hmm.
like the de facto farming
Oh,
game?
oh yeah. My
Uh,
friend keeps
Te-
trying to tell me to play
I,
this.
it's not Terror something.
I
Shoot,
know.
it's like top down. It's kind of like
I'll get you. I'll get you.
yeah, that game, that game. So she's like a huge fan of that. She likes playing
Stardew. That's the one.
Stardew Valley. Yeah, she loves playing Stardew Valley. She doesn't care to do any like dungeon stuff. Um, but like yeah, so I got her Harvestella and she absolutely hated it because she doesn't want to do
Mm,
RPG. She's like, I
Not a
just
fan of the
want to
combat.
farm. Why can't I just farm? So there you go. Story of Seasons diligently under development. What's next? Daemon X Machina. Oh,
Hmm.
Daemon Machina. I don't know if the X is pronounced. Is the X pronounced?
I don't know.
I don't know. You know,
Probably.
Japanese
Let's
developers
go with
stop
no.
adding.
Or
Yeah,
is it?
stop adding random X's in names if you don't want us pronouncing it, please. Like, it drives you crazy. Yeah,
I
Damon,
think the default is you don't,
you
but
don't
I think that's the default. Because like
stop it.
Spy Family, Hunter x Hunter.
Stop it.
I don't know. I
Daemon
know.
Machina, fine. Daemon Machina, Titanic Scion, basically nothing. Oh, they say X should be pronounced. Whatever. There's basically nothing other than it's diligently under development. And I keep saying that because that's like the running joke for the entire show. Like every game, they're like,
Mm,
it's diligently under development. And I'm like, wow, that is a oddly unique Japanese thing to say about their progress.
right.
We're diligently developing this game.
Okay. Martino Magico raises a good point here. The
Mhm.
X in Daemon X Machina might be important because might be actually pronounced because of like
Mhm.
Deus Ex Machina is like a
Ah,
it's
yeah,
a
no, that
Ex
makes
Machina.
perfect sense.
Yeah, so in this case, I think you're
Daemon
probably
X
right.
Machina.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm less mad about them, but for all those people who put X's in them when they're not pronounced, shame on you. Stop it. Uh, now, last but
They
not
could have
least,
solved this issue by making it EX. I'm just saying.
right? Just add an E to it. Last but not least, we have Rune Factory. Speaking of Rune Factory,
Yeah.
I quite like Rune Factory despite the farming. I'm like the polar opposite of my friend. I'm like, please just
Same.
give me the RPG without the farming. And she's like, no, please just give me the farming without the RPG. So Rune Factory tried to satisfy someone who would like both of those things. And previously we talked about them having this thing called like Project Dragon or something
Yeah,
to that
that
effect.
sounds familiar.
Ryu no Kuni in Japanese, and they've given us a new teaser, and I think it looks really good. So let's take a look at that.
That
Yeah,
those
they give us
visuals
a,
look really
I know
good.
it looks so good. Yeah, it's a huge jump from what is it called? The last game they came out was
Rune Factory
5.
3.
Yeah,
Or oh yeah, 5. There was
Yeah.
also the 3 remake, I think.
Yeah.
I also liked Rune Factory 4. This looks more like Rune Factory 4 from what I remember, but that was a Wii game, and this is obviously
This looks
much improved.
actually really good. Yeah,
God, that looks. Oh my gosh.
probably still won't play it because it's a Rune Factory game. So there's got to be farming and crafting, and which I absolutely hate
Lies.
farming and crafting. But for people who enjoy those elements, I think this is going to be a very exciting game for them. Yeah, and this is the female character named Kaguya, so that you can pick from male, female, main character is Subaru and Kaguya.
I like
and then
it.
they're just showcasing different weapons that you can use.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, this is the talisman weapon.
That's cool.
So they have like sword, archery, talisman, and umbrella. I don't know.
A parasol.
Yeah, a parasol. Yeah, that's
yeah.
a weapon.
So
They're
it's-
going by the rule of my mother, which is anything she gets her hands on can be turned into a weapon.
So this is obviously Breath of the Farm.
Yes.
Rune Factory, Breath of the
Breath
Farm.
of the Farm. She looks really good. I'm
does.
intrigued. Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't
actually
pick
intrigued.
the farming trailer, because that would have been less exciting to me.
They don't have a farming trailer, actually.
Well, maybe they're getting further away from their roots. I don't
Turning
know.
into a straight RPG and just let Story of Seasons be the farming game.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be interesting. I mean, this is supposed to be a spin-off. So this is not like Rune Factory 6. Like this is
No.
supposed to be a spin-off title.
Oh, maybe so
So-
maybe it is just completely separate. That would be nice. That would be
That would be interesting.
Huh.
Huh.
I wasn't expecting to be excited by this. I deliberately when I was making JRPG Weekly Update, I was like, Rune Factory, do I care? No.
It's a spin-off. So we'll see. We'll see what that means. But yeah, it is currently being developed diligently.
Diligently
Diligently.
developing.
Yeah.
Very diligent.
If you think I'm just like randomly picking a word, go watch the showcase. Like all of them, it's quote like they will actually have it in there like under it's like diligently under development, every one of those games. So whatever that means, Japan.
Means they're being very diligent, okay? It's
They
their
are
new
being
buzzword.
just want to remind you that they're working very diligently. So quit your complaining.
It'll be ready
Anyways,
when
that-
it's ready, is what they're saying.
It will be ready when it's ready. So yeah, that was the newest Rune Factory, Anthony.
Maybe that's code for don't ask us about it.
You know what? That's probably it. Just like stop bugging us about the game. We're working on it diligently. Just
Exactly.
Stop it. All right, so there goes the smaller but not less exciting Marvelous showcase. Now we
That
turn our
showcase
attention
was so
to-
marvelous.
It was marvelous. Yeah. Now we turn attention to the Sony State of Play for May. And there are a couple of games that are of interest to us, I think, as our little community. The first thing is Dynasty Warriors Origins. That's slated to come out sometime in 2025.
All right, let's check this
Yeah.
out then.
I think this just looks cool. There's not much known about it other than this is supposed to be based on a nameless character in the midst of the Dynasty or Three Kingdom arc.
Okay.
So I don't know how that's supposed to work. Because like Dynasty Warriors has always been about like the Three Kingdom. I don't know how they made like 10 games off of like just the Three Kingdom. It's just like the same thing over and over again, more or less same characters. Some characters they just like invent stories for because they're running out of characters to talk about. But this time they have this nameless character apparently, and they're gonna utilize like PS5 something or another capabilities, yada yada. A lot of
Maybe-
marketing speech.
So like is the Three Kingdoms story kind of like the Eastern version of World War II, how we just like have 3,000 games based off of what happened in World War II?
Think the War of Roses. I don't know if you've ever heard of the War of Roses before.
Not so much.
It's and anyone who is watching from Britain would know what I mean by War of Roses, that they're forced to study in school, poor people.
But I
Yeah.
mostly mean in the sense of like just they can't stop reliving these old days because it was like, and so they just put it in everything. So many war movies, so many war video games, all about that World War II. You got the people who specialize in just getting all their World War II information. They're like
from these games.
like I'm
Yeah,
guessing I'm like
kinda.
they're like kind of
Yeah.
like these two different like I don't know. I wonder if that's like the East's version of World War II, and they're just like, oh man, We, these are these wars that we're all just
Kind
really hyped about.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there's that mystical element too, I guess, because
Hmm.
it's it happened so long ago, and there are all these like mysteries, and people like sprinkling on little details. There's some creativity that you can have with these, I guess. That's probably the reason why
I
they
think you're
and it's
right.
so well known too. So
Yeah.
yeah. But that's Dynasty Warriors Origins. I wish Japan would stop slapping Origins on everything. Like once the series run long enough, you can
Hmm.
have that game Origins,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy Origins, East
You can
Origins,
you can
Dynasty
just call
Warriors
it
Origins,
you can just call it Dynasty Warriors 10. It's okay.
Dynasty Warriors Zero,
It doesn't
my
make you look old.
friend.
It doesn't make you look old. Yeah, just start over. After 10, you have to start making remakes.
Though I will say, like, Origins game tend to be pretty good. So I don't know, because I love East Origins. So maybe I shouldn't say anything. But yeah, well, we'll see how this one goes.
All right.
Next up, we got this game called Infinity Nikki, which
Yeah,
is
what
supposed
is
to be an
this?
open world adventure game.
This looked, I mean,
Yeah. I wanted to see it. I wanted to show this one because I
it looks
don't know how to
different.
feel about it. So, okay, part of the reason why I want to show is because it's been called an open world adventure game, but some outlet has called it open world RPG. I don't know if they're right or wrong, but if it is an RPG, then I feel more obligated to talk about it. But if it's not an RPG, I still kind of want to show it because I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I'd like having like different aesthetics and whatnot. This is not your typical like Final Fantasy, broody, hardcore male, like adrenaline rush, like, yeah, I'm a bad, mother,
Uh-huh.
game.
Okay, there's like
Like,
stars and stuff that they're collecting on the. That's interesting. But
like this is definitely
okay,
more feminine, if you
okay.
will. But at the same time, I don't know if this is like some group of
Oh,
people
that's
who just
cute.
go like, what do women want? Oh, this is what they want. Like, and they just decide to swing really hard the other way. I don't know how to feel about it.
I kind of dig it.
I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like this.
You know
Like,
what though? Who cares if they made this for gals? Like this kind of looks like something I might enjoy watching just because or
it just
playing.
feels artificial. That's the part of me
A little.
that
You
feels
think it's
iffy. Yeah.
a little too kawaii?
Yeah, a little too much, but I don't know. Like, it's
Mm.
probably not made for me, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I just feel like
Oh,
it's a really pretty game. Like this part here looks pretty cool too. So we'll see. Yeah, but I don't know if it's supposed to be an RPG or it's supposed to be just like an adventure game.
it
But either
looks like it
ways,
could be anything. Honestly, it's hard to
it could be
say.
anything.
Um, yeah, it legit just seems like it could be an RPG. But some of
Mhm.
it looked like kind of well, I don't want to say like near. I mean, because it kind of is though. Like, I mean,
Mm.
there was she's definitely dodged like some slow moving magica. You know that I don't know if that's a near thing or not, but it seemed like oh, so there's like some action combat kind of stuff
Mhm.
going on that um didn't seem initially Souls like.
You know what would be a deal breaker for me? The
What's
deal
that?
breaker for me is if they made this game like really easy, like obscenely easy, like or there's really no real gameplay. Because what that suddenly reminds me of are like the Barbie games that came out for the Switch, where it's like super pretty. There's really no gameplay. There's no way to fail. Like or either that is just like
This
extremely
doesn't look
poorly
like
made.
that.
I don't know because I don't see any gameplay that like suggests otherwise. So that's kind of where I'll leave it for now.
You
We'll
did
see when
say
it comes
open
out.
world adventure game.
But some outlet calls it open world RPG. But
Yeah.
I don't see any RPG element, at least not yet.
I mean,
They
there was
just
that
haven't shown
brief
us
moment of
enough.
combat, but
Yeah.
it's hard to say if is that action RPG? Is that something else? I don't know,
Yeah.
but
I don't know.
it
Or is
looks
it more like
cute
a
as heck.
Zelda situation? There's no level. You know what I'm saying? Like you
That
just yeah, right? Like a Mario game. That's an adventure game. There's no RPG. Like
that could be cool. Yeah.
yeah. It could be. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll
We
wait and
got
we'll see.
options, yes.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting, and I really want to show that. And then the next one is a wuxia game, which I'm starting to lose track of because I feel
There's
like
so
we've
many.
seen a couple already.
There was Wolong, I think was one of them.
Wulong, yeah, there's
Um,
Wulong, and
because that was the
then
one where it
there's
was the swords that were people, right? The handsome
no,
boy
no, no,
swords.
no, no, no. That's not
No.
Wulong.
Oh, that was that. That was not okay.
No,
What was
it's
that
not
one?
Wulong. Wulong is like no, you're thinking about like the the Dynasty Warrior kind of game that came from a mobile game.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Wulong is like a so-esque action game
Okay.
that's
Okay.
like
That's not
pretty
it then.
dark. And yeah, this is yet something different. This is called Where Winds Meet, which I've actually talked about before when it was first announced, but we're getting more information on it from the Sony State of Play. So let's take a look.
All right. And this one still, I think, looks super cool.
It looks incredible. I am really starting to lose track of it because none of them like came out. They're all just like in development. So
I
you get
know.
like 4 or 5 of these games that have very similar aesthetics that are all just in development, and I can't remember which is which.
Yeah. And there was no, there was Wandering Sword. That was, it was not like this, but it was also
Yeah, no,
Wuxia.
Wandering Sword is definitely distinctive in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there,
No, but
you know,
like there are a couple of these like action
That's cool.
titles with like
I don't know
wall
why I want to.
running.
I don't know why I want to fight a fish, but I do.
You wanted to fight the fish, right?
That looks so cool.
Yeah, it looks good.
But yeah, like Wuxia titles are so hot right now. They're,
It's the next big thing, I guess.
I guess so.
Everyone is trying to jump on it. As long as it's not free to play, I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
You know,
The
back on like
second you turn free to
PlayStation,
play,
back
you
on
know.
PlayStation, there was like this very Okinawan sort of like inspired RPG trend
Mhm.
for a while. You know, there was
Okinawan trend.
Oh yeah, Chrono Cross probably kicked it off. There was a
Oh.
few others, but then it went into like Final Fantasy X, and
Mhm.
like I wonder if we're entering in like the Uxia like trend.
Interesting.
Like things just sort of, you know, independently converge sometimes. That's cool though. What the heck, man?
That's some Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon thing right there. Okay.
Yep. Oh, it's a
Yeah,
yin and a yang.
definitely.
I get it.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
gosh.
see. Where winds meet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would like to see some gameplay. I think I showed a gameplay trailer. I
Mhm.
thought during the whole JRPG Weekly update, and it looks Souls-like, you
Yeah.
know, from what I remember. But that's a
Yeah,
nice trailer.
these games do look good, but I have reservations as usual. I mean, that's a high responsibility for everything. Like,
Of course.
you know, yeah, for the chat, please. Like, just they look good, but wait till we get the game and see what it's actually like for a lot of these. Speaking of waiting to see what the game actually plays like, Silent Hill 2 remake. Because boy, if there's any controversy that has been controversialized in the last week or so, it's this one.
There's been a
Well,
couple, but go ahead.
we'll take a look at this real quick.
I don't think we can because it's age
Oh, we
gated.
cannot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
can we not see Silent Hill 2?
It's age gated. I can play it, but you won't be able to watch it with us.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, yeah, moving on to Silent Hill 2 remake. Okay, we'll spend a little bit of time talking, maybe
Okay.
just a minute. But I have a couple of friends who are disappointed in the game trailer. Not for the reason that has been trending, but just because they felt like it was like another Resident Evil like game that they're trying to do. But the apparently the developer, which they previously thrown Konami a little bit under the bus for putting together a trailer without going through them first, and made it look like a Resident Evil game. I think that feeling is still there. And I don't think the developers are too happy about it because they're like,
Yeah.
look, we deliberately try to make this game not a Resident Evil game, but Konami is like showcasing this game like it's a Resident Evil game. So I feel like I don't know who to believe. It's one of those we will see kind of thing. Like we will get the game and we will see who's right. Is it turns out it's really just like kind of a Resident Evil game, which I'm not against because I like Resident Evil personally. But a lot of Silent Hill fans are like, yeah, we like Silent Hill for a very specific reason. If you just gave us another like zombie thriller, except like it's not zombies, these like demented like psycho monsters, then you're not capturing you're not doing Silent Hill justice in their opinion, right? So I don't know. I've never been a Silent Hill fan. I get what they're saying because I've seen the game. They've explained it. I get it. But I think there's just no way to know until we see the game come out. Because if the trailer continues to not depict the game in the right light, and the directors and the developers keep telling us that that's not what the game is supposed to be, then
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I have nothing else to go off on, right? Other than seeing the game. So
Pretty much.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on, I guess, to the next one here. I think will this trailer work? It probably will. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Capcom.
Last game we've got on the list is Monster Hunter Wilds, because of course we're going to talk about this one. I may not subscribe to Monster Hunter, but it is absolutely one of the biggest games that Capcom has today. And and you better believe a lot of people like this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
And I'm okay with it. Like I don't dislike multiplayer games. I just dislike live
I do.
service games. Live service is where you lose me. Is when they charge you like monthly fee and then they keep growing, they keep making the thing. A lot of times there are free to play freemium games allow live service. No, like this game you buy it, you own it, you play it. If they have patches and update, that's it. But they don't charge you anything,
And
Once you buy it, that's it. You
solid.
own it.
I love that. But it's crazy to think about. There was an article that came out about an ex Square Enix executive like talking about some of the struggles that Square Enix is facing these days. I don't know. If we'll talk about that later. But
From an X, like X as in Twitter?
no, as in a EX. Former.
Oh, okay. I was
a former executive.
You see, this is the problem with X or Twitter.
Uh-huh.
Or because now I'm confused. I'm like X executive. You
When
mean
in
like,
doubt, I never refer to X when I mean Twitter.
I hate that branding so much.
I know. But anyways, this game looks pretty cool.
This
I
game
like
does
the
look really cool.
gameplay. I'm not a fan of the loop, of just like, sure, you defeat the monster, but then you do it like 20, 30, 40, 50 more times because you're farming for,
Yeah. It's fun to
stuff.
play with friends. It is, but it's definitely not a single player experience. There are stories that you can go through, but the meat of the game is playing with your friends. And I mean, when it becomes that, it becomes like spending time with friends at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know how think about tabletop games that you play with friends. You replay the same campaign, but you get different outcome or something. But you're playing with friends. Like the important is you play with friends.
Makes a big difference.
So so I get it. It's not for me.
So,
my
yeah,
friends
I was
do
gonna
play
say.
this game. though.
I was gonna say not for me. I don't have friends.
I also do not have friends. And then my friend, hello, my friend Leo just popped in. I was actually just out drinking with him yesterday. Uh, whereas I say I have no friends, my friend pops in. Hello, Leo. Hello. Give a shout out to our friend 3D
Get
by
called
Leo.
out.
Yes. Calling him out right now. And he also doesn't like all these attentions, so I'm just doing this on purpose.
Oh,
Anyways, this is what you get for being my friend. Yeah, there's no date for Monster Hunter Wilds, but that game looks actually looks really good. I do appreciate Capcom spending time to make each of the biome looks like each of the world look very cohesive. Like there's Monster Hunter World like Iceborne, which obviously is more like Arctic kind of like expedition kind of thing. Everyone's wearing like super heavy coats and stuff. Like all the aesthetic just really ties together and looks really good. And then you have Monster Hunter. Which one was it? The one that came out on the Switch that has like a more Oriental kind of like East Asian kind of aesthetics. And then now you have this, which is like the desert, like so the Marauders, right? And I just think they do a really good job like building
some
these.
incredible worlds for sure.
Yeah.
I love it. I just wish that these games were for me too, because it's like I said, the gameplay loop. I enjoy killing a Rathalos, the first couple times, but like after a certain point, I'm just like, okay, I'm done.
And getting tired of this.
Yeah. And it would be more fun with more people, but I don't have more people.
Well, I'm sure people in chat right now would love to play the game with Derek, right? Right? Yeah. Just no more trails. Just play Monster Hunter forever. You're gonna spend the same amount of time anyways. I'm just saying.
Touche.
All right. Well, we have gone over the Marvelous Showcase and the Sony State of Play, but there's this one other showcase that maybe not enough people talked about. In fact, I didn't catch up with gaming news until like earlier, and I was like, oh my God, I completely forgot about this thing. And that is called the Indie Live Expo 2024, which actually had a ton of games that they talked about, reviewed, also not reviewed,
Showcased.
Showcased. And we can go over a couple of these, and these I feel like we can go into just a bit more detail because I feel like a lot of us have seen the Sony State of Play, have seen the Marvel Showcase, so we're really just recapping some stuff. But these you might not have seen. So let's start with this one.
I certainly didn't.
Fun.
Let's. Oh, go ahead.
All right. So from the creators of Max Monster and Fishing Paradise, Odin Cat is coming out with a new adventure game called Mousebusters. So here's from their description. You've just moved into your new place. You're excited to settle in when all of a sudden you get turned into a mouse. Thankfully, you soon meet a fellow rodent who knows how to help. He asks you to call him Chief and explains that the only way to break the curse is ridding the whole apartment building of the ghosts that haunt its inhabitants. Ooh, so you got put into a curse, turned into a mouse. Here it is, man. Let's take a look at Odin Cat's newest game, Mousebuster.
Okay, so it's definitely kind of derivative of Ghostbusters then.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, who
apparently
you
get to zap ghosts and do all kinds of it's a pretty short little thing. It's a short
gosh, that was really very
budget for like a 5-minute trailer. 15 seconds all you get.
Sheesh.
Now Odin Cat, for those who don't know, Odin Cats is known for making games that are relatively short and also pretty hard hitting in the kokoro, right?
Yeah, and the emotional side
hits
of
you in
things.
the fields. So expect similar things from them. Expect to spend maybe like 3-4 hours going through a story and just feel things after playing the game. We don't know what this game is going to be about, but I have some expectations from Odin Cats. This game is going to come out sometime in PC via Steam in 2024. Next up, we've got a horror game for Mr. Derek to go over.
Oh,
exciting.
So, Did a Distortion just released a new title for their upcoming third-person horror shooter called Nightmare Operator. You can play as Misha, who is a public safety operator tasked with hunting yokai and protecting the quarantine city of Shinchiba in the year of 2036.
Yes.
Ooh, what's going on in Nightmare Operator? Let's take a look at the trailer and find out.
Yeah. I think this game looks gorgeous, actually. It's got that PS1, PS2 era kind of aesthetics to it.
Yes, kind of PS2-y. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Oh. Yeah.
It's got that blur, you know? Like
I got a little bit of that fog.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh, I love the look.
It's a little bit like
It's
what is that game? Like Dino Crisis kind of deal, except, you know.
Oh my god, look at that.
I know you'd love horror game. I
would
know.
love this if I could.
You're totally gonna play this. Derek's gonna totally play this game on stream.
Dude, this
at one point or another.
Like all the horror elements aside, this looks so clean. I love it. And it's got the over-the-shoulder perspective here when you're like shooting stuff, which is, you know, a little anachronistic, but I kind of appreciate that getting back ported to this visual aesthetic. That is super neat. Nightmare Operator.
Nightmare Operator. That's right.
Oh, that's neat. That is really neat. I'm not gonna play it, but but at some point it's gonna come out on PlayStation. Or I'm sorry, not PlayStation. It's gonna come out on PC.
Yes,
but we don't know when.
On PC.
But we don't know when. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe you might play this next game. This next game is a collaboration between Suda51, who is famous for the No More Heroes series, and also Swery65. Similar names, similar quirkiness. This is the guy who made the D4. I forgot what D4 stands for. It's like another just quirky like game, and so they're just both known to be very like you know, eccentric,
strange.
Yes, strange. Now they have a collaboration that they're making a 2.5D slasher film parodic action game. That's what they've called it, called Hotel Barcelona. Let's take a look at that trailer, and then we can talk a little bit more about that.
Aren't you supposed to pronounce Barcelona with a lisp?
Is Barcelona supposed to be pronounced with a lisp? Show me how it's done, Mr. Derek. Just what?
No, that's okay. I'm just being pedantic. Let's check this out.
Okay. I didn't even know that's a thing.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a thing. Like whenever someone takes a trip to, like, how do you know when someone's been to Barcelona? They call it Barcelona.
Really?
Uh-huh. Apparently that's a local pronunciation that started from I don't know if I should
kind of like Hawaii. It's not Hawaii.
Oh yeah, it's Hawaii.
Uh-huh. I love it when people like corrects people, like, oh yeah, no, I'm excuse me, actually. And I'm like, are you like a Hawaiian local? Are you offended? It's like, no, I visited last summer. It's like, okay.
It's like, no, but I did eat a spam musubi once.
I eat spam musubi for lunch today, and I am obligated to tell you how Hawaii is actually pronounced.
I love it.
Yeah, this looks really cool. I was just like, this would be something that the two of them get together to make. So apparently in Hotel Barcelona is where all these like serial killers have gathered, and the main character needs to take them out or something to that effect. So
sure, why not?
Some weird supernatural phenomenon later. Here we are.
Cool. I mean,
it looks really cool.
I mean, with the Suda 51, 41. 51. Like what? I always get him and like some 41 confused.
Yeah, I can't believe that was an indie game. Like I can't believe that was considered an indie game.
I know.
Anyways,
But when it
yeah.
comes to Suda 51 though, it's like
Mhm.
any of the stories just feel like this is an interesting world. Don't think too hard about it.
Oh yeah, just accept it and just move on.
That
Just
looks yeah, that looks really cool. Um
speaking of accepting it, you'll have to accept that this game will come out sometime this year without knowing which month.
sometime.
Sometime this year on PS5, Xbox Series, and PC.
Nice.
Yes,
Shall I take this next one then?
go for it.
All right. Well,
It's not a horror
developer.
game.
All right, cool. Well, developer Dank Hearts announced the multi-ending escape adventure game called Type Noise Shonen Shojo. Traumatized youth trapped in the noise scramble city, a labyrinth of their own fears. Amnesiac teens solve puzzles in multi-ending escape adventure. It's very interesting.
Yeah,
The only way out of the city is to remember and overcome your own noise.
and they
I
give
have
you
a
the
feeling that
translator note.
noise. I was gonna say, okay, there we go. Yeah, noise refers to. I was gonna say, I have a feeling that they. I was right about to say, I have a feeling noise means something different. Like darkness in Kingdom Hearts means something different.
Right.
Noise refers to painful events, traumas, and memories from the past. Doubt, jealousy, foolishness, arrogance, maliciousness, and greed, each carrying their own noise. Everyone gathers their own memories as spread across the city to remember the past. What if the only way out of here is to interact with the painful memories you want to escape from? Can you face your own noise?
Hmm. Intriguing. All
I,
that noise.
I don't know.
All that
That
noise.
noise.
You know what? So this is gonna be one of those what is it called? It's like survival puzzle games.
Oh, is that
Um
what this is? Okay.
yeah.
Oh, let's check out this trailer because
Yeah.
that might help shed some more light on what's going on here.
I forgot what's a really popular series is called. Um Dang. I'm just like my head's not really working today. But yeah, it's one of these where like you click and you like try to solve puzzles and then you need to get out at certain times or something or another.
Oh. It's not like
Yeah.
Danganronpa, is it?
No, not quite like Duncan. I mean, yes, but also no, because Duncan was more like a
It's not
mystery
Fate.
detective thing, like who died, who killed who.
Okay, it's
There
not.
are
It's not.
puzzles.
It's not like Fate or anything. Because that's more of. Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, no.
don't
Dang
know.
it.
I don't know.
Zero Escape.
Zero Escape. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Zero Escape series. No, Nonary games. Thank you. 999. Yeah, Zero Escape. Those kind of games. Yeah, so if you're a fan of Zero Escape, I think this is going to be an interesting title for those folks. It looks like it plays very similarly. It's just like a complete different background, different art, but it ultimately is that kind of game, which I know a lot of people are a big fan of.
It's not something that I've ever experienced before, so I don't know if I'm excited about this or not.
Are you not a fan of the No Nori games? Are you not a fan of Zero Escape? Actually, have you ever played a game like that before, like Danganronpa, Zero Escape, that kind of like puzzle, like I don't want to say horror, but like maybe psychological horror, not like ghosts and
I
zombie
have.
horror.
I picked up a copy of 999 once that was on
Mhm.
the cheap, but that's because I'm a
Never
collector,
started
but I
it.
never played it. No.
I don't blame you. I personally never played it myself either. The closest I've gotten is playing, I don't know, like 13 Sentinel, but 13
Mm.
Sentinel is not exactly that kind of game. It's yeah. So, but that's also I mean, like the closest I've gotten is 13 Sentinel, and 13 Sentinel is far away from like a Nonori game. On yeah. So, one of these days I would love to give it a shot, but yeah, one of these days I'm gonna try one. Okay. So the last game that we want to talk about, and we're obligated to talk about it because it's called an RPG,
Mm.
Acquire. Acquire. Acquire.
Yes.
Yes, Kodansha Acquire announced a new poker-themed mystery adventure RPG. So I mean, they
Ooh,
stuck the
that
word
sounds
RPG in there,
that sounds straight up my alley.
and it's called All in Abyss Judge the Fake. Let's take a look at the trailer because I'm
Okay.
still struggling to see where the RPG comes in, but here we are.
I
Let's
don't
take a
know.
look.
It's sounding like we might have, as far as RPGs go, a pretty full house. So let's
They're just calling everything an RPG now. Is that it? Like,
yeah.
I don't see the RPG element, but
I
you
mean,
guys can tell me.
I'm feeling like we are just flush with RPGs at this point.
So you follow this self-proclaimed genius gambler named Asuha, who is going to gamble to the top, gambling against these entities called the witches, and they're sort of
Okay.
like the best gambler in the city.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and like they don't gamble because they're good; they cheat, of course. So there's a
So
lot
you
of
need to be a
like
better cheater.
mind. Yeah, there's like mind game and cheating involved. I don't know. There are a lot of different like tricks and things that you can pull in there.
Judge the cheating fake opponent and win
A
poker
peculiar
against
adventure based on
witches
poker.
with various
So if you like
English
poker
all
and
of a sudden.
anime, this is
struggle
it.
on the brink of gaining
Yeah.
everything or losing it all.
Crazy
This
Psycho
unique
Gamblers,
poker
yes. This
adventure,
is
All in Abyss.
what
Well,
is
I
that
guess-
one
Judge the
anime
fake.
about gambling that
Set in the special
had all
gambling
the
district.
the-
place is
and the gamble in
dominated
the
by
school.
skilled gamblers
I
known
don't know.
as
I don't know.
witches.
But I guess if this is up your alley, just this might be
Has arrived
one of those
with
games that you'll just want to,
excitement.
hold them in your
But
memory.
was absolutely humiliated by the witches.
So yeah.
Now must win
I mean,
back the
looks
lost.
very interesting. I'm waiting to see the RPG element. They're like, this is an RPG. I'm like,
Not only do you need to
I mean,
understand
you're
poker,
using RPG
but you must
very loosely at
understand
this point.
your
I mean, I'm not kidding though. It says Poker
Right
Battle
there.
Mystery Adventure RPG. It's in the title. I didn't make this up. This is from their trailer.
of the witches.
I think it's just replaying the same trailer over and over for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's
Yeah.
stop watching that then. once or twice is enough already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. That's it's an RPG according to them, but we'll see. One more of those games where until they release, which is slated for this year, by the way, in 2024, whenever it comes out, we'll know what that's about. Okay. And then, so that concludes all the games that we wanted to touch on from
Well,
Indie Live Expo
yeah.
2024, which actually there were maybe like 30, 40 games in this whole like event. So I highly recommend you guys checking it out. I mean, there might be some games in there that we didn't necessarily copy that you might be interested in. So I will highly recommend. Again, it's called Indie Live Expo 2024. It came out like about 2 weeks ago, which we had to skip because of Memorial Day, but we're coming back to touch on it. Hope you guys enjoy the the presentation that we're just giving you, and it's you find things that you like in there. Now we're moving away from all the showcase and just talking about things that just has been what is it called? Has been,
Independently talked about and
announced.
announced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is the one. This is the story for you. from
Okay.
your buddy Steve.
Yeah, so Steve Gile reached out. They're from Pugware. They are an independent single person developer that is, well, they've just released a demo for a game that I thought looked pretty cool. I did not. This is not the one from the JRPG Weekly update that I talked about. This one's completely different. So we're talking about this for the first time. It's called Granzer. So in it, you will follow Saragat and his dubious allies as they untangle the web of lies and attempt to dismantle the shadowy conspiracy of the Core. As far as a far greater threat will reawaken. So yeah, let's check out that demo trailer here real quick.
I have not seen the demo for this because this is that added.
Yeah, so this is the one that I was
Ooh.
talking about that had some like what I thought looked like kind of PlayStation 1-ish like
Mhm.
aesthetics.
Oh,
Like, yeah, it's
oh,
very
this
early.
definitely looks PS1.
Yeah, and it's a very it's also definitely a solo developer, but it's like, oh yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, this has caught my interest for sure. It's it's very like low poly, but
You know what's funny? You're like
I feel
you're
like I've
just
seen
saying,
this
"Oh, this game has caught my interest," and then in the trailer they said for the past 6 months, and it kind of like merged in.
oh
So
yeah,
I thought you said this game has caught your attention for the last 6 months. I was like, "Wait, what? It has?"
yeah. So yeah, that's the demo is now out on Steam. So it's just one person making that, which is sick, man. Like,
I always respect that so much. I'm just like, wow, that's
oh man,
incredible.
did I don't suppose did we include the other sole developer video game RPG that I talked about in HitPoint? I don't think we did.
I don't
I
know
will
that we
add
did.
it. I'll add
Mhm.
this also, and while you take this next one.
Okay, well, this one caught my attention because, I was just saying that there are a lot of these like wuxia game now. Well, here's another one, and it's called Burning Sword Death Sun, from Nomadic Games. This is their debut title, and being a wuxia action RPG isn't exactly, the isn't exactly interesting in its own right, because like I was just saying that it seems like there's been a couple that's in the work that I'm starting to lose track of, which is which. The interesting thing about this is that this is a Thailand based developer making a Chinese wuxia story RPG, and I was like, what? I didn't realize that this is a Thai developer until someone mentioned it in the trailer comment section. They're like, "Oh, this is from a Thai developer." I'm like, "No way, shut up!" And I looked through it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is actually a Thai developer." So maybe we can take a look at that trailer really quick, Derek.
All right, and that's the Burning Sword.
Burning Sword, Death Sun, another wuxia RPG. But this is from Thailand, just a wholly different country, really far away.
So he is the last
I
leader
welcome
of
it.
the Crimson Dust Demon sect who disappeared 5 years ago. Zhang Isian. That devil sect. They're renowned for their heretical and ruthless ways.
Everything ends here. Right here. Right now. Now perish!
I've trained year after year for this day.
Your sword can't
Yeah,
Oh,
this is according to them, this is a hack and slash. So I would imagine it's less so S and more near in battle,
Sure.
like faster pace, less precise movements.
Oh, that's cool.
It looks cool. It's coming out in 2025 on Steam. So yeah, that also I'm just like, there's so many of these like wuxia game. Like I don't know where all these games are coming from, but okay, I'm fine with it. It's just I'm losing track of them, to be very honest, because the aesthetics look so similar and they play all look similar. Again, Wandering Swords is completely different. That's like a 2.0 HD. That's a whole different thing. But all these action games, like I don't know, I can't I can't find the distinctive factors between all of them. They all feel like the same game. If you show me trailer after trailer of
I
just
know.
these without telling me that you switch, I wouldn't know if you switch game.
Mhm.
So that's the problem.
That
Uh,
that is a problem.
yeah.
So I
Okay.
added another one to the list.
Yes.
That is Legends of Astravia, because this is a game that that I also found out about pretty recently. That also is a single person developer that's also had this game in the works for quite a while.
Oh,
And
wow.
now it has got itself a demo on Steam. So let's just take a look at the trailer.
Okay.
And there's some cool stuff here to
Let's
talk
do
about.
it.
It's from Artisan
Nope,
Studios.
wrong
Oh,
thing.
nope.
Wrong thing.
Is it the wrong? That's the wrong thing. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let's not look
I
at that
saw
one.
the studio name and I'm like, nope, that's the next one.
Yep. This is the one. It's like that's not it.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Okay.
Oh,
So this
this looks like a PS1 kind of game.
yeah, it's
Or
you know,
maybe even like Super Nintendo ish, like right around that time period.
like early PS1
Early PS1, yeah.
pre polygons. You know, it has a combat system that has a like a interrupt mechanic, kind of like Grandia. It has an exploration system designed and inspired
Ooh, that's
by
interesting. Okay.
inspired
Legends
by
of
Astravia.
Astravia. I'm gonna add that into our list and keep track of that. Okay.
Yeah. And this one has like an exploration system sort of inspired by Golden Sun. So if you're interested in something like that,
Golden Sun.
yeah, this one's pretty sick, I think.
Okay.
Keep your eyes out for that one.
Okay. And when is that coming out? Do they know, or is this just still in development for a minute?
Let me check. I don't know if we have a date on it yet. The demo is out now, and I think that they said Q1 of 2025. Yeah.
Man, solo development is hard, man. Solo anything is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like write a book and then some more. It's crazy.
It's pretty cool to see a game that has like that 8-directional movement, like
I do
in character
like
sprites.
those.
I know.
I do like those. Yeah.
You don't see that every day.
Right. Okay. We've got one more indies that we want to talk about, and this one is from a French studio, Artisan Studios. They released a new trailer from the hand-painted Japanese-inspired RPG called Lost Hellden. And the description says, on a planet called Era, people are bound to one of the 7 deadly sins before their first birthday via a religious ceremony called the Nexus Ritual. Now, all their lives, the inhabitants of Era have to fight against their urges. Should they fail or succumb, they transform into mindless and aggressive beasts. Terrible world to live in, by the way. You know how we always ask, like, not always ask, but like, you know how sometimes people ask you, like, if you can pick an RPG world to live in, which one would you live in?
Yeah.
Yeah, not this one. I don't want to be bound to a 7 sin, and then if I succumb to it, I turn into a mindless and aggressive beast. No, thank you. Like, yeah, not this world. Don't isekai me there.
No.
Anyways, continue on. Yeah, continue on. One day, a
Lust.
woman
Oh God,
gives
rip.
birth to twins, and apparently they never see twins before. Twins is something that never happens, and what's more, one baby is bound to all 7 sins, while the other receives none.
Okay.
Okay, that's the story.
Interesting. Let's check this out.
Yes.
Dude, that world sounds terrible.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible world to live in.
Oh no, he succumbed to lust.
Oh no.
Game over.
Imagine that.
Just if that happened, just castrate me at birth or something. God dang.
Oh god.
Right. Oh, that looks beautiful though.
Yeah. That's why I saved this for last, because I thought this game looks gorgeous. They're giving some kind of commentary, but we have the
Yeah.
commentary now. So you know, if you understand French, you can decipher what they're saying, or you can just go to the video and turn on like closed caption.
So he has blue hair, so I'm pretty sure that makes this a JRPG.
Well, you know what that means. This is a
Breath of Fire.
Breath of Fire game. Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
This is Breath of Fire 9.
Blue hair, long-haired hero. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. The game right now is a little choppy for me. I feel like it could be smoother, but I feel like those are details they can work out. You can switch out like in and out of characters, kind of like Final Fantasy 7 or like Tales. It seems like. It seems like a Tales kind of battle system. You can pick skills. There's still a menu.
Yeah. Oh, it's still moving in slow motion here.
Oh, so like Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Interesting.
AOE.
Very 70. Okay. Yeah.
Dodge out, counter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So like you go between different phases of battle still. Like you're on your offensive and your defensive side of combat, I guess. And so that's kind of
Maybe.
how, like action phase bonus. So like you have an action phase and you have a like a cooldown phase, I guess. That's cool. I guess that's kind of how they implement turn-based strategy into
Into like an
real-time
otherwise
combat.
action battle system.
yeah.
It's interesting. I always find it interesting when people try to mash like action and turn based and try to do it well.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yikes. So that's like my one game to look forward to. If there's nothing else in here that interests me tonight, this one is the one that I'm really watching.
Oh yeah. Well, if there's nothing else here that interests me tonight, then it's this one title that I'm going to talk about right now. And that's just, honestly, this wasn't really an announcement, but more of a PSA here.
Yeah.
That there's going to be a demo available soon. On the 4th. It's just a couple days from now for Trails Through Daybreak. So this is a brand new arc in the Trails series. So this is a clean break from everything else that they've already done. You don't need to have played anything else prior. You can just dive right in. You don't even have to have finished Trails into Reverie to start playing. Just saying. And save data for the title from the demo will carry over into the full release. And that full release, by the way, is on July 5th of this year, coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, the Nintendo Switch, and to PC.
Ooh. That sounds exciting.
I'm quite excited to be able to have a new title. So when someone says, how do I start playing the Trails series? I can be like, you know what? Just go pick this one. It's brand new. You don't need to have played 4 other titles in the series to know what's going on. Nothing is spoiled by earlier entries in the title, as far as I know. Like that's been the hard part about Trails of Cold Steel. Is like, oh, but maybe you want to play the Crossbow games because they kind of spoil each other a little bit, and you got to pick your one. No, this is a brand new title. You don't need any like history. I think you should be able to get right in.
Just start with Sky 1. Just everyone start with Sky 1. Everyone just start with Sky 1. You don't get to skip. No, just kidding. Skip around however
of
you
course, Sky 1 is like it's the optimal place to start, but it is not always realistic to expect people to go through all of them.
These are not okay. I'll say this: Trails is hard to recommend, but it's not as annoying as East. Because
Why is East annoying?
Because
Where should I start playing
the
East?
chronology of East jumps back and forth all the time. There's like you can either go by like the play style, or you can go by the chronology. You can go by release order. There are multiple ways to play like the East game order, and it's really hard to make like a good recommendation. And they're all kind of tied, but they're all not really tied.
Yeah.
Other than Dogi. Like nothing else really carries. Okay, I lied. Things do kind of carry over, but you know what? Ease is complicated. Ease is one of the most complicated series for me to make a recommendation on. Like, oh, which game should I start? Just play one. Just pick one and play. Just throw a dart and just pick one and play.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did, and I started with East 8. That's the only one that I've played so far, and it was really good, and I want to play more. But I don't know if I want to go back as far as like bump mechanics.
I think you should, only because okay, this is just for you, Derek. I don't know about other people, but I feel like you may want to do it just to have that piece of history. And also
Yeah.
East 1 and 2 are really short.
I mean, heck,
Like-
I've played through Highlights, so I mean, it couldn't be much worse than that.
I can probably finish East 1 and 2 in a single night. before you finish one
Oh,
chapter
hello,
in
Mr.
Trails.
Fancy Pants.
No, because
Yeah, you're
it's
probably
really
right about
short. It's just like extremely short games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now later games get longer, but East 1 and 2 are like stupid short. As long as you don't keep dying over and over at the bosses, which I believe in your skills. I don't think it will happen to you. All right. Hey, for the people who are in chat right now, people who are watching, if there are any games that caught your attention, anything that you really like, please let us know in the comment. Which of these games that we've gone over in these showcases really grabbed your attention, or maybe it's a game that we didn't even cover. Let us know in the comments below. All right. Now we're moving into the industry news section that we
All
promised
right.
that would be some fun stuff to go over.
And I don't know. So just to preface this, last week over Memorial Day weekend, Baku's like, "Hey, I have this idea. I want to talk about this." I'm like, "You want to talk about this?" We did promise people we wouldn't talk shit about Square Enix for 3 weeks. At one point, we did make that promise. I think we might be cheating a little bit by skipping one of those weeks.
Well, we said that we wouldn't trash Square Enix for 3 weeks, and I'm not trashing Square Enix. I'm just going over their business plan. So
I know. I'm just, I just wanted to throw that joke out there.
Oh
But-
no, I know.
So,
I
yeah,
even
we're gonna-
wrote it in my tweet. I was like, the 3 weeks over, right? I can go back to trashing them now, right? But I
No.
do want to promise people who are watching right now that that is not the intention. In case anyone's like, "Oh, how dare you get mad at Square Enix and speak ill of them?" We're not.
No, we're
We're not.
trying to glean some information from some very opaque statements. I think is a generous way to put it. And
Yeah.
and I'm personally going to be trying to go into this with a mind of positivity. So let's see what they can do. Let's see if I can
right.
let's see if I can do this.
Let's switch. You want to switch over to the
Oh yes,
the
to your
business
screen.
plan? Yes.
Yes, here we go.
Make it a little bigger, maybe. Oh, can I not make it bigger? Wait, hold on 1 second. There we go. Is this better?
It's still a bit small.
Hang on 1 second. How
There we go.
about-
There we go. Now that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah, like 1 slide per page. Okay.
Yes.
So let's look at the Square Enix new medium-term business plan, because they had previously had a medium-term business plan, but this is the new one. This came out in May 13th, and I actually did like a little read-along on my stream, but I figured it might be interesting to read this to you guys too, from the perspective of someone who actually read these business plans and prepare these business plans. I might be able to give you some unique insight as to what they're talking about. So this is a presentation that the I believe the CEO actually gave this PowerPoint presentation. And let me just skip through some of these, like, beginning slides that doesn't really mean much. Let's dive into slide number 6. This is really beginning to talk about things that may be of interest. So, you ready for this, Derek?
Yes.
All right. So in this part, they're really talking about their previous initiatives and sort of what they were trying to do. And I'll only highlight things that I felt like were of interest, and I'm gonna leave out a lot of things that I felt like are just like fluff, basically. But they did talk about wanting to streamline their portfolio and divesting from some overseas studio and IPs, which you've seen that they sold their their what is it called? What is that one studio like? From like the Lara Croft studio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't
They
remember what
they
they're
sold
called.
some stuff to Embracer Group. So yeah, okay, it makes sense.
Eidos, right?
Eidos, yeah. They want to expand MMO, which, as we all know, is really just Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, sure, there's Dragon Quest, but who are we kidding? It's Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 14 and maybe Final Fantasy 11. So the rest are just like fluff. So not really anything of interest. Here we go. These are the challenges, or as I like to call how we messed up.
Okay.
Launched too many titles, but some failed to live up to profit expectations, especially outsourced titles and some AAA titles. So, Star Ocean.
That's the one that I'm thinking outsourced. And then what was the
you know.
what was the AAA that they're talking about?
Some AAA, probably Final Fantasy. Because if they're talking about failing to live up to profit expectation, then Final Fantasy 16 is probably the one that they're talking about.
That's got to be it, yeah.
Slow down in SD game. SD means smart devices. So slow down in smart devices games. Unable to launch hit titles to offset market maturation, aging legacy titles. Yeah, so basically closing a bunch of free to play games that basically they couldn't launch anything that's comparable to some of the competitors, like Roller Waves or like Star Rail. They couldn't come with anything like that. So this is fun. Cannibalization of our new titles due to launch schedules overlap.
100%. So they acknowledge this. That's one.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that that they don't try to hide this. Like,
I think that's one of the more obvious issues that, like, if they didn't address that at some point, like, then we would know that this was like a bad faith attempt of like recapping where things went wrong.
Absolutely.
So, it's good to acknowledge this for sure.
Gaps in our management infrastructure, which basically just means that they have management issues. So I want you guys to remember these because these are the issues that they have identified. So their new strategy would necessarily have to address these issues, right?
They would have to be a response to these things.
Yeah. So let's see how they plan on doing that. Okay. And basically fluff. Our new corporate philosophy structure enrich people's lives without help of creating precious, unforgettable experiences. So, corporate fluff.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not wasting your time here. Purpose, creating a new world of boundless imagination to enrich people's lives, which means what exactly? I don't...
Create new worlds. Because that's it. Create new worlds. That's the key word.
This is why I hate reading these like slides because like they tell you like absolutely nothing. It's just corporate fluff. So corporate fluff. New corporate philosophy structure, defining our purpose and values, corporate fluff. Let's go on to like the important part. It's the 3-year plan of rebooting and awakening. Even the title is for Square Enix.
God. Okay, yes, it really is.
I love this graph because like you see the stonk graphics here. Do you see that chart up? Oh yeah,
stonks.
We're gonna this is what's gonna happen to our company,
Synergy.
Okay, more fluff, but we'll get to the important parts. I felt like is actually not putting them down. Okay, like this is
I'm approaching this
every company does this.
Hey,
yeah,
I did say I'm trying to approach this from an air of positivity, so I think this means that they're aiming upward and onward. So this is good,
At a trajectory.
Line goes up. That's
line goes up.
I'm glad that this is their goal. Okay, let's see what else we got.
Okay, this is not unique to Square Enix. Every corporation has these fluffs, and I hate all of them. But we'll get to the non-fluff parts. So basically, here's what they're saying: that there are 4 pillars to this strategy. Okay, enhance productivity by optimizing development footprint in the digital entertainment segment, which means absolutely nothing by its own, but we'll get to the details. Diversify earnings opportunities by strengthening customer contact points. Again, means absolutely nothing, but we'll get to the details. It will finally give meanings. Initiatives to create additional foundational stability. Strike a balance between shareholder return and growth investment when allocating capital, which I'll explain what those actually mean. So this is from the first pillar, optimizing digital entertainment segment development footprint. This is probably what a lot of people have read. Shifting from quantity to quality, delivering ensured fun.
I like how fun is in quotes.
Fun. I hope that's not what they meant.
I hope they're using it like a boomer and using it like for emphasis rather than
than sarcasm.
Yeah.
Fun. You're supposed to be the positive one. What's going on? No making fun of fun. No fun allowed here. Okay, but I do think at least they understand that it's not about like a shotgun approach. Like, don't just shoot games out. You gotta focus on the fun factor. And a long-time viewer has known that that's sort of our stance for games. Is it fun? At the end of the day, did you have fun? Did you make a game that is fun? Because if it's not fun, then that's half the experience for a game. Strive to create optimal portfolio, striking between product out and market in approach, which probably means absolutely nothing to people. But here's what they really mean. They mean that they want to give creators like freedom to create things while simultaneously, getting customer feedback, which is the market in approach. Like, I know it's all these company talk that means nothing to your standard person. I think this is really just saying our executive team will now butt out of creators' decisions. Because as you know, Square Enix has had a history of C-suite going in and telling the creators, yeah, no, you can't do that. You got to do something else. Final Fantasy X is, not Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 12 is a famous example where a certain other character was rumored to have supposedly been written to be the main character until CWC comes in and be like, yeah, no, you can't have a middle-aged person be the main character. You got to write a teenager in, and hence Vaughn became the main character, and the rest is history.
They said, sure, we've had one Tidus, but what about second Tidus?
Yeah, well, what about Tidus number 2? Yeah, so I'm hoping that that's the approach that they giving in. So rather than C-suite coming in, we're going to let the creators create, but we're also going to check them by asking, the public what they think. So, okay, good approach. I think that they have tried to do something like that. Just don't ask about graphics once the game is out, because that's not exactly an earnest effort to gather customer voices, right? This is fun. Strive for regular launch cadence. So we will release game regularly. It's
it's important,
drawn out way of saying
that is important.
It is important, but also feels like that's just what a company should do. So I don't know. It's not exactly like a unique insight. How should we compete in this economy? It's like, we should release game at a regular interval. Okay.
And well, I think that they should focus on more than just that. They should try to get regular intervals for their individual IPs as well. So
which they're going to touch on.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. So yeah, but hang tight, because you're right, because they are touching on it. So they're talking about launching titles to bolster loyalty of our brand, placing top priority and bringing smiles to our customers' faces. Corporate talk. Here's probably the more interesting part: regularly releasing AAA titles. So we've talked about this before, where they want to shift their focus from releasing all these games and then just shifting it more to AAA titles. So now we know that they do mean AAA titles. So expect quicker turnaround on like the new Final Fantasy title. Expect quick turnaround on the next Kingdom Hearts rather than delaying for like 10 years, however many years. They're going to put more emphasis on like getting them out the door, I think is what they're saying. Release mid-class titles based on strategies for individual lineups, prioritizing profitability. Also, just a bunch of fluff.
I mean, that's good though, because mid-class means that they're not just going to do AAA.
I think this is where the fluff comes in. So this is the fluff. They mean release mid-class titles based on prioritizing profitability. You see this like half the sentence is just basically fluff. And you will see this a lot in these deck. But yes, they will not neglect mid-class titles. So basically your Star Oceans, your Octopath Travelers, like they're just saying that they are not going to neglect those. Like they will release them if they're profitable.
That's important to me. So
that's important for company survival. So I don't blame them for looking at profitability. Like if you can't survive as a company, then nothing, right? So I get that, but I'm just hoping that that's not the only thing that they're looking at. let's see here. They're not going to give up on smart devices titles. Good luck. They want to explore additionally leveraging the group's rich library of IP. This is interesting because Square Enix does have a lot of titles in their IP library that they have not touched on. I don't know, Parasite Eve.
Dude, how about even
many
just
things.
re-releases of like existing titles that haven't been available in a while? Like, how about like the Sega Genesis collection is awesome. How about Square Enix does like a Square Enix collection?
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I don't know, maybe what's the other title that people really I don't know, maybe a new Final Fantasy Tactics? I don't know. I just
Ooh, yes,
you know,
there are options.
there are many options. Be bold in attempting to create new IP, prioritizing novel forms of excitement and striking the right balance with earning potentials. That they're really just saying that we're gonna make new IPs, but hey, don't worry, guys. We're gonna be fiscally responsible when we do it. Here's the problem. Here's the thing that scares me a little bit. Exploring new possibilities in entertainment, potentially leveraging new technologies, which I think a lot of people are having pauses here. It's like, what do you mean by new technology? Are we going back to NFT? Are you going back to NFT? Because that's
Maybe
not
they
new
mean
technologies anymore.
Maybe they mean VR. I don't know. I mean, because well, I guess VR is not new either.
AI, and who knows. But just be wary that they haven't exactly given up on this like new technology ambition. But moving forward,
Yeah.
let's see. Our internal title development footprint, retired business unit. Oh, this is interesting.
Retire the
Retired
business units.
business.
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just saying. I was just reading along. Retire its
Oh, okay. Yeah.
business unit.
Retire as business unit based organization, design and strive to establish an operationally integrated organization with a goal of revamping internal title development footprint and bring more capabilities in house. So there are two things of note here. One, as you know, Square Enix has operated with this like business unit organization for the longest time, like business unit number one and business unit number two, and each of those things, like Octopath Traveler is one of the business unit. I forgot which one it is.
11, I think. I could be wrong.
So there are different business units, and what they're really saying is each of these business unit operated as a division. Okay, so in organizational what is it called, sorry, in organizational
Almost like a silo, right?
yeah, so it's basically a silo. Yeah, organizational structure is the word that I was going for. So organizational structure, there's something called like a divisional kind of structure where basically every division would have their own like HR, they will have their own accounting, their own marketing. And
Oh, yeah.
you can imagine like if you're Nestle, right? You're a multi national corporation. You can have like an Asian division, you can have a North American division, you can have a South American division, and of course, every division will have their own accounting, their own marketing, their own whatever, right?
Okay. Did you say
Yeah.
SE or Nestle?
Leslie,
What?
like the people who own like like the Toll House cookies. You know
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
talking about?
Nestle. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, just making
like the
sure.
international,
Like the
food-
evil chocolate company. Gotcha.
the evil chocolate company, Willy Wonka, but evil. I have
Yeah.
friends who work there.
I mean, it's a terrible company.
But you can imagine like a South American division is not going to do sales for like East Asia because they're not even in the same like thing. So division structure makes sense for certain companies. Square Enix basically operates in a division structure, is what they're telling. And these are sort of the insights that like we don't really get to hear much about, because when you say creative division something or another, we don't really know what it means. But this report is actually telling us that they think that that's part of the problem. Part of the problem with these overlapping releases, part of the problem with the marketing, which people have repeatedly told me that Square Enix has the worst marketing ever. Why is it that this giant company can't market the games like correctly? It's because they operate by business divisions, and
makes
they
sense.
are horrendous in working with like say the American side. It's a lot of like what's the word? It's a lot of redundant functions that ends up being
it's the opposite.
expensive, and
It's the opposite of synergy.
it's the opposite of synergy.
Legitimately, it is
It's
the
just
opposite.
chaos. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
So-
the right hand doesn't know what the left is doing.
that's exactly it. So whenever we've talked about this in the show before, right? Like, how come they can't market games effectively? How come they have this weird launch schedule? Well, it's because each of these creative business units operate on their own. It's
Yeah.
not like Square Enix centralized, okay, we're gonna release 10 games in 2 months. It's each of these divisions just like, yep, we're releasing it then, and then this other division is like, yeah, we're releasing it then. Chaos. And
Yeah,
the
everyone's just
cannibalism.
like send it all at once.
Exactly. So
Yep.
they're like, no more, no more. We're gonna disband all these creative business units. Okay, we're gonna go back to a more functional or lateral, called like that lateral structure. But we're gonna talk a little bit more about that later. So functional structure is basically what you imagine a regular company to be like. Like, here's the marketing division, here's the accounting division, here's the HR division, here's the blah 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 division. And they all specialize in like a thing. There are pros and cons, but like I think they're trying to like restructure and downsize a bit. Like they've just gotten way too out of hand, right? And I feel like that is one of the things that they recognize, and they're willing to completely restructure the company to trim some fat, but also to make it more efficient. So I think I was right in saying that they're trying to consolidate, because this is one of the moves that you would do when you try to consolidate.
Yeah.
But it will talk more about it later. Transition to a project management structure, which I would know a thing or two about that. Keep balance between creativity of his individual employees and the management center organization. A lot of these things makes no sense to like a person who's just looking at it, but when you read it with context, it starts to tell your story, right? These divisions are being closed down, so they want to turn these more into just like project teams,
Yeah.
rather than like a whole division. Like, you're gonna do a game, we're gonna have a project team for the game, and once that project's done, it disbands, and then they go somewhere else, right? And that's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm getting the feeling of is what they're going to try to do. They're going to redefine what a producer means. They're going to redefine like a lot of these employees. They're going to just completely have like an overhaul, and anyone who proves to be useless middle management cut, right?
Yeah.
I kind of support it. Develop investment efficiency, reviewing overall management process. So basically what they're saying is, because each of these things are so siloed, it was really hard to manage the process of these titles. But by restructuring this company and make it more lateral, it's going to be easier to manage the costs and development effort of these projects, but also once they're done and they reach a phase where they need to do like sales and marketing, you have this cohesive unit who knows exactly what the entire company is doing, rather than just individual units.
This feels huge, like a
Oh
huge
yeah, no,
undertaking.
this is huge.
A huge. I mean, like when you hear about like a restructure, it's like, oh, usually they're just like shuffling pieces around, but like this is a fundamental like shift in how they're going to be running the company, and I think it's such a good sign that they are taking it very seriously.
You see, people, I'm not here to trash Square Enix. I mean, they have fluff, but I'm also telling you like the meat of the things. Like, and I'm like you. Like, I think that they are taking this responsibility like not lightly. They're not just brushing it under the rug. They're like, yeah, things will be fine. I think they understand that things are not fine. Like,
Yeah.
they're willing to
can't-
make very fundamental changes.
You can't lose a tenth of your coffers in 1 year and be like, this is fine.
This is- so, and this is, and remember like some time ago, when they said, oh, we're gonna refocus our attention to AAA games, and I told you they're gonna lay people off.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna lay people off.
they did. I mean,
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
I think they started with all of their like European and US offices for the time
Right.
being, or are starting with that, which, that sucks for everybody, because it's a lot of translation staff, a lot of marketing staff. It's a lot
Yeah.
of the people that I've probably interacted with at Square Enix over the years is probably under a lot of stress right now, and that sucks.
Expect more layoff because given the context of everything, the Japan's economy, all this, the refresh aim, there's new strategy, everything just points to they will lay people off.
And I have heard that like it's easier to lay off foreigners than it is to lay off Japanese people.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and,
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to their next strategy. Shift to multi-platform strategy, which I'll be honest with you, when I first heard this, I just thought that this was a bunch of nothing because it says pursue multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo platform, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
good.
Well, they already do release games on Nintendo, just not the AAA games because Nintendo Switch can't play them anyway. Xbox, they have games. They can have games on Xbox, but the install base is so small that it doesn't really matter that much. So the
Yeah.
only thing that they're really talking about is PC.
Yeah, and being aggressive about that is a good thing.
It is a
Um,
good thing, yeah.
And shortly after this, they announced that Kingdom Hearts series was coming to Steam,
Steam,
from
yeah.
Epic Game Store. So it was already there, but this might have been tied into that
Mhm.
decision to like be more aggressive about selling on PC.
Yes, I think
So
so. I think so. And then here they talk about SD, which is just
Smart
smart
devices.
devices. So basically, what they're saying is that when they develop a new smart device game, they're going to also try to push it onto PC so that it's going to be more in line with what's popular today.
Yeah,
So what is that? What is that one game from
Genshin Impact.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Genshin, basically. Like, you can play it on a PC, you can play it on your phone, you can play it on a tablet, and it's going to cross play, right? Like they
Yeah.
want to do that. Like we're not gonna make like a low budget crappy cell phone game anymore with like you know you know uh limited playability and you collect cards or whatever. Like no, they're done with that. If we're gonna do a title, we're gonna do it right, and we're gonna throw some money into it and really try to compete. I think that's what they're like taking everything all together. I think that's
Yeah.
what they're really saying.
I can see that.
Good for them. I mean, I'm not one of those customers, but at least it's not another like throwaway game that like the server dies in like 6 months. And I keep making fun of like Square Enix like mobile game players because like yeah, the game just like dies 6 months to a year. The server goes offline. You lose everything. Like what the heck's the point? Like who would play your game if that's the forecast, right?
Yeah, if that's the average lifespan.
Lifespan, yeah. Maximize digital sales, which I don't appreciate. I feel like that means that they're gonna push for more digital versus physical copies, but it's whatever. I get it. Like that is what all the companies are trying to do.
Mhm.
Pursue initiatives designed to win over PC users. I think this is just funny. Listen, Square Enix, if you're listening to this podcast, you're not. But if you are listening, you know how you can win over PC users? Launch a game that's not broken and then expect the community to fix it for you. Like I know Bethesda do that and haha, but none of us likes that. Okay,
Yeah.
so stop it.
It's unique because it's uniquely effective for Bethesda because that's what they've always done, and
Yes.
there's the expectation now. But you can only do that once every 17 years when Bethesda puts out a new title. So
Oh boy. Extend title life cycle. So I think this is a little bit interesting. Like we're taken again together with other statements. It sounds like they're really gonna try to re-examine like their previous IPs and just try to build like upon titles. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm getting out of this, but this could mean like 50 ways because if you just read this, it means absolutely nothing. It's just
it could
business
also
speech.
mean game as a service where you sell a
it
game,
could
but then you
also mean
continue
game
to
as a
provide
service.
updates and sell
Right.
cosmetics or expansions. It could be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But it makes sense because like I mean if you're looking for profitable things to do, look at Fortnite.
Oh,
And
jeez.
that's what they're competing against really.
Fortnite, what is it? GTA.
Yeah.
They're still making money off GTA, which is insane. This game is how old at this point? Just
Yeah, it's wild.
Incredible.
GTA 5 was on PlayStation 3.
No, oh my god. Wow, and they're still making money off of that game.
Yeah.
Like corporate executives are just like salivating when they can hear the prospect of a game that can go through like 3 generations and still profitable.
Yeah.
And not
But,
just
you
a
know-
little profitable, like a lot profitable.
Oh yeah, mega profitable.
Yeah.
I mean, because Fortnite has kind of redefined how profitable a game can be. Which
We
is
have ourselves
really...
to blame. We do. Like
No,
as players.
I'm not blaming
Yeah.
myself. I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
played that stuff. It's you guys.
Yes, all of you, not me.
Just kidding. It's not you guys either. It's probably your damn kids.
All of your kids. No more allowance for them. No more allowance. Okay, here's the part that we talked about. Pursue integrated sales and marketing operations. Oh my God, will you look at that? So it says consolidate marketing functions or previously spread across creative business units. So it's basically, like I said, each of the creative business units is its own division. They all have their own functions that you would imagine would be shared, but they're not, because as you can see, marketing functions are within a creative business unit. That is a division.
Mhm.
So when they say that we're gonna close down all the creative business units, we're gonna reshuffle everything, that's what they mean. So whoever's in like the marketing team in Final Fantasy is gonna get moved into whoever does marketing in
For all of Square
Octopath,
Enix.
whoever does
Yeah.
marketing for other games. They're all gonna get moved into one place called marketing.
It's good.
You know,
Yeah.
So
So they can
that's what they think.
coordinate and maybe even collaborate that way, which would be great.
exactly, and that's the problem. Eliminating duplicate function, which is basically what I said. There's a lot of redundance. And when you have redundancy and
That's
you want to get
overhead.
rid of redundancy, someone's going to get fired because
Yeah.
I don't need 2 people to do one job. I need 1 person to do one job, right? So which is, these are the things that tells me they will lay off people, and not just foreigners, but they will lay off people. Create a new reporting line in order to enhance collaboration between sales and marketing function. Again, there will be layoffs, but at least they understand that there's a problem. We've said this for years that their marketing has issues. Now, I don't think marketing is the only problem, and I've argued about that, but it is an issue. And so I'm hoping that they are truly taking steps and not just, doing like a lip service here. Increase sophistication of marketing by leveraging first-party data, which I'm not a fan of, but that's just what tech company does. So
I don't even know what that means by first party data.
yeah, CRM, data analytics. So they're gonna build in data analytics in their products, I feel like. So
Okay.
depending on what data they
Like
collect,
heuristics or like, I guess,
your guess is as good as mine. Now, if they're only talking about sales data, because again, previously all the sales and marketing all split into units. If they just mean consolidating different data, first parties and like things that they collect themselves, like sales data, that's fine. That's just operation. But if they mean like more personal data, or like each individual fan, because they talk about CRM, right?
yeah.
So it's just client relation management. So if they're talking about each player as an individual client and they're collecting data that way, then I don't know if that's something that
Like if they're
it
going to
might.
start selling data, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm a little worried of the use of CRM
Okay.
and first party data. So, but we can move on. I mean, most likely it's going to be smart device stuff. If you have purchase records, they can keep track of it. But we'll see. Leverage IP across media formats. This is interesting because I feel like what they're trying to say here is we're going to try to look into doing more multimedia like projects. So, in other words, more tales.
Yeah.
And hopefully not the way that they've done it for Final Fantasy 15, because I enjoy that. But let's say I do merchandising game and an anime.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Maybe a movie, maybe a trading card.
Maybe a movie, maybe some like Mountain Dew collaboration. I don't know. Just don't sell me NFTs.
Cup
Um,
noodle.
Cup noodle. Yeah, that's all. That's all good and fine. Like I don't think this is like crazy revelation. I mean, plenty of companies are doing it. So, Row initiative to create additional foundational stability. They're gonna talk more about restructuring, rebuild overseas business. So this is what you were just talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, began optimizing costs with European and American offices via structural reform, which is what we talked about. Redesign organizational structure, new organization in Japan. That's fine. Promote intra-group collaboration in Japan and abroad, strengthen functions of its London development site. So London development site would be like Just Cause and what is it called? The games that we don't really think about that's associated with Square Enix, Just Cause and Life is Strange. That's like the London office. Yeah. So good. Okay. That basically tells you that even if they are laying off some people over there, they're not going to sell it. Because why take the effort to do all this if you plan on selling them anyways, right? Hopefully, fingers crossed. So, because Just Cause and Life is Strange, I don't subscribe to those games, but I've heard
really
great
like
things
them.
about them. So
Yeah.
Okay. Build group's flat organization again. Streamline decision making. So I think this is one of the problem that they had is decision making take way too long, too much bureaucracy, right?
Oh,
Like, and that hinders development. We've seen it happen over and over again with Square Enix, where games take way too long to develop. They go into development hell. There's a lot of issue. We talked about like what are some of these like management issues that they're facing, and I'm not talking about in like the last 5 years. I'm talking about like the last 20 years. They've had issues with management. All the delays, a lot of that comes from management and just like all these decisions. You have to make a decision, and someone else has to make a decision. They can't move for like in another word, agile, right? So making it more flat organization, more lateral, more team based would enhance that decision process. So instead of going through like 5 layers of decision, maybe 2 will do, right? And that way they can get decisions made faster everywhere, right?
I feel like that would have a lot of additional benefits, like having to go through fewer people to make certain kinds of decisions could result in maintaining creative like integrity within the groups that are working on projects.
I think so.
So that's good.
I think so. Yeah, too much restriction. It's like when a company grows too big, I think that happens to a lot of companies. They grow too big. There are too many layers. Everyone's a manager. And I'm not saying managers don't do work, but sometimes you don't need that many layers to approve a thing.
Certainly not. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think a lot of us know what it's like to have too many bosses.
I need a new laptop. Great. Sign this form, get 6 signatures. Like progressively higher, and I have to go all the way to the CFO and be like, "Can I get a new laptop?" They're like, "Who are you? Who's this guy?" Okay. Let's see here. Oh, here's an interesting one that I don't think many people will. I think many people will overlook this, but let's go over this. Enhance business infrastructure in this development team, maximize productivity, yada yada. So they're still working on a hybrid working system, which is, I guess, that's pretty nice. Like
In
some
person
people are
and
still
remote.
working at home.
Yeah.
Here's the part that I don't think. I think a lot of people will skip this and don't think much of it. Pursue refining its management accounting system that enables greater visibility into business activities. So this is part of the thing where I said I don't think they are having an easy time keeping track of each of the business units, because recall that I've said this before too, that there are 2 kinds of accounting. There is financial accounting, which is your K10s, your IPO public data, your balance sheets that are available. It's all standard, right? But then there's management accounting. Management accounting, or some people call it cost accounting, is really about like what are the actual things that you spend within a unit, and like how do you attribute costs. That's why it's called cost accounting. So if I create a game, how do I attribute costs? Like, do I do it by the hours worked for the people? What about all the tools and technology and software? Like all these different things, all these tangible and intangible costs to creating a thing. How do I attribute the cost to this? What about depreciation, right? Like I buy a program. Let's say I buy 10 copies of Adobe Photoshop for the team. But those are things that I can use after this game. They're still good, right? So how do I account for the cost for this? Do I count all 10 copies into this game or do I split some out? You get it, but it's everything.
Yeah.
Right. So there are different ways of doing management accounting, but here's what they're really saying is that what they're saying is that their management accounting system was very flawed and that they had no insight into how much money these creative business units are actually blowing. They don't know because every business unit accounts things differently. So how do you compare across units other than just sales? But sales is part of the number, right? And then cost, and you can do like what is it? You can do like return on investments, like, oh yeah, it's just revenue at that point, right? But how efficient were they? Could they have done it for less? You know, could we have made more?
Could they have used another department's copy of Photoshop?
Yeah, maybe. This is, you don't know, right? Because there's no uniformity in accounting. So this is what they're saying. It's boring as heck, but this is extremely important in managing your cost, right? Like how do I know? How do I know if that was a success or a failure, right? Even between divisions, like if you lump them together, right? It might look like one group is doing very poorly when in fact they're not. And then one other group might be doing really great because the way that you do the accounting skews their practice when in fact they are actually doing horrendously and they're super inefficient, but you wouldn't know, right? And that's what kills big companies. Like
Just
these
waste.
things, waste. Eliminating waste. It's part of the plan. So good for them for calling that out. And here's the last piece. This is about shareholder return and growth investment. And I know people look at this and they already like glaze over because they're just like, ugh, numbers and charts. But I'll give you the fun part. So here's the fun part: share buybacks. Share buybacks is kind of a hallmark of consolidation. And I think there are two important pieces for this. Number one, they are trying to boost shareholder confidence by doing buybacks, right? But the other thing that I think that they're trying to avoid, which is something that we've talked about, is a hostile takeover.
Oh,
So
yes.
remember that
Like
we
Embracer
were
Group
saying,
or
well, yeah, because remember we talked about like the Saudi buying companies or like whoever, like, or like China trying to buy out these companies, like who's going to buy out Square Enix. Well, buying back your shares and then keeping it within the company means that you can make sure that no one can come in and try to do like a hostile takeover of your company. Because if they buy enough shares, they can just force you to sell to them, right? I think that's part of it. Is they want to make sure that they have that under control. Is that they're not looking to get bought out by raiders. But the other thing is that this is just standard affairs with consolidation, right? And then you look into like merger and acquisition. I think that they are trying to spend a considerable amount of money to maybe expand their core competency by acquisitions. So remember how we talked about like, oh, what about buying Triace? What about bringing these talents in house? They did talk
Yes.
about bringing talent in house, and I feel like part of this, and I could be very wrong, but in the next few years, we can look forward to seeing them spend some money in acquiring smaller studios and then integrating into them as like part of Square Enix in-house development capabilities. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little too late for Acquire at this point, sadly, unfortunately. Who was, Octopath, but
Acquire.
yeah. They should have acquired Acquire when they had a chance.
Well,
I mean, because I feel like that was one of their, cash cows.
mhm.
It was one of the overperformers for them.
They might still be able to buy out Kodansha. I mean, not buy out Kodansha. They might still be able to buy it from Kodansha, if
Maybe.
Kodansha is feeling generous.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, personally, I feel like Square Enix could probably make use of Acquire better than Kodansha can, but
Probably.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Because still haven't seen what Kodansha is trying to do with Acquire. Maybe nothing. Because we just talked about a game that Acquire is trying to make, the
the
poker
poker
RPG.
game.
That's Acquire, yeah.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Interesting to think about. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the main thing. So to summarize, they are looking to make games that's fun. They realize that they have massive management issues that they're trying to resolve by basically trimming the fat, reorganizing the entire company, throwing in really uniformed management accounting practice, and setting aside money for stock buyback and merger and acquisitions, trying to bring more development prowess back into the company, and stop outsourcing games. That's like the main takeaway for this reading of their business plan. Do I think that it's the right steps? I think so. This is just this is not surprising because I've already called it that they are trying to consolidate, and this is just proof that they are trying to consolidate. Every one of these steps is consolidation, like 101.
That's
Either
good.
it's financial or it's organizational. It's consolidation.
Yeah, because it sounds like they just had a lot of issues with just not knowing what was going on all the time.
Yeah, and maybe that, and I think that should be the interesting part for a lot of people who are looking from the outside, because for years we've asked, like, what is going on in Square Enix? Like,
And they're probably
why are
asking the
you-
same questions.
Yeah, they're like, well, I mean, if the previous president wasn't so obsessed with like NFT and just like trying to make the big bucks, like, and maybe that's the difference between this guy and the new CEO, because it sounds like
Competency.
he is trying to be like trying to be more conservative
Yeah.
and be like, okay, this business needs a rehaul. Like, we need to rebuild this thing. We can't keep going like this. I'm not out here just to make quick bucks and just like be done with it. With this new technology that's supposed to be like the Deus Ex Machina and just like give us a way out. Oh, NFT, that's gonna be a savior. It's like, no, it's not.
No.
And he was willing to make big bets on this miracle cure. I don't necessarily respect leaders who do that. So if this truly came from the president CEO, I have a lot more respect, because being a leader in business means to have many lead bullets and not a silver bullet. There are many painful choices you got to make, many changes, many tweaks you got to do, and not just like NFT is going to solve our world. That's the silver bullet approach. This one thing will just miraculously fix everything. That's not what they're doing here. So I feel like if they are going by this plan, it's pretty solid. So there you go. We're not trashing Square Enix for once. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's actually
Everyone's
really
expecting-
exciting news. I'm
Yeah.
I'm feeling honestly a lot better for the future of Square Enix after hearing all of this, which I suppose is probably a good thing, because I feel like that's what this presentation was designed to do, to keep shareholders from selling. But it's, I mean, they cannot lie to shareholders. These are real plans that they are going to be enacting, and I think that in the long run will benefit us all. I hope, especially us who enjoy their single player experiences.
Yeah, I want Square Enix to get back to form. I don't want to say like the golden days or the golden era of Square, or like I don't even dream of like talking about that. I just want them to get back to form and just make some good RPGs. Like it's a very humble wish for a giant company to do. In the meantime, we have indie companies that are delivering, but like so much of my childhood is spent with Square Enix games, or Square games, Square Enix,
Square and Enix.
yeah, Square and Enix, really. That I'm still just waiting for them to bring some of these things back. Just remember actually what made them great and not necessarily like chase the past, but just learn from it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't try to imitate your past. Don't give me a game that's like, oh, this is Square Enix and we're going to come up with a Chrono Trigger inspired game. Like, no, but if you understand what made Chrono Trigger great, you can make a new game that has those elements. You don't need to bring up Chrono Trigger at all, and it will still sell well because it's the substance that you are emulating, and not just throwing a name out and be like, oh, look at that. We have, combined skill. That's what made it great, right? That's what you like. It's the turn base and the bar. It's like, no, you don't understand. You didn't understand what's great about it, and you're just
Yep.
trying
You
to
misunderstood
throw
the
a clone.
assignment.
Yeah, no, that's an F, Square Enix. But
All
if
right.
they can understand the errors of their ways, and it sounds like they do, and they're willing to make concerted efforts to correct those, which it sounds like they are, yes, it will be painful. It will take some time. That's why this is the 3 years operation. It will take time. Like, it's a giant company. Changing culture and changing structures and doing all these things takes time.
And it
So I
is
think
going to be a little risky. There's going to be some, like, there are games that are currently being developed, and they're going to have to figure out how to continue developing them through this transition, and that's going to be tricky.
And I think the last piece I'll say is I think that's why they canceled a bunch of games.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you can't have these divisions keep running and doing things, so they're serious. They're like, no, drop everything you're doing. We're gonna cancel. We're gonna write off everything you're doing. None of those are making it out. You're gonna restructure and then we're gonna start fresh.
That makes this, if that if that is true, that makes this huger.
Isn't that crazy? Like
Yeah.
I feel maybe I'm just being hopeful, but I feel like that is the commitment that they're throwing down. Like, no, whatever you're doing, I don't care how close you're to being done. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut all of it down. Like, we're done. This is not working. For years now this hasn't worked. We're gonna redo this. And that's where the write-off comes from. So I think it's crazy, but we'll see. Only action will tell what
Yeah.
Will come of this. But it's exciting.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move along to our final section, which is where we're going to be responding to a lot of the super chats and things that have come in throughout the evening. So, Eagle Knight's kicking us off here. Says, "You know what else is retro, Derek? Ys. Play any yet? I have. I don't know how I got this reputation of having not played any Ys titles. I've played and reviewed Ys 8. It was a fantastic game. I just haven't played any others, which is to my chagrin, admittedly, but 8. It's great. It was great.
You
I
just
liked
need
it.
to play more of them is what they're trying.
Yes.
Yes.
Then, moving on, Still Alive says, "This isn't about RPGs, but video games more broadly. But a YouTuber I watched pointed out that what separates video games today from other eras is our access to so much old and new that we never had before."
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts? I mean, yeah, I've mentioned this before, I think in passing, but like when you're releasing a new game today, you're also not just competing against the games that are coming out today. You are competing against every game that you have ever released and every game that anybody else has ever released, because you're competing for people's time, which is finite. And I think, man, I think this sort of ties into another thing that Square Enix has going on. So I mentioned before that that one of the things that I read over the last couple of weeks was from a former executive from Square Enix who was talking about some of the things that they're struggling with or that they perceive as what they're struggling with currently. And one of those things is like when we were growing up, when we had like a console generation of Super Nintendo games, we got or in Japan, people got, you know, they got oh gosh, Final Fantasy, what was it? 4, 5,
Mhm.
and 6.
Mhm.
And then on PlayStation it was 7, 8, and 9. And then on PlayStation 2 it was 10, 11, sort of, and 12. Um I don't really count 11 because it's not a single player RPG, but that was like a console experience. So like over the course of like 10 years, you would get like 6 Final Fantasy games.
Mhm.
And that was like solidified in our minds. Whereas like now, like kids growing up, they've like when Final Fantasy 16 came out, it's like, well, there's that.
Mhm.
What previous game would they have like been around for coming out? Like what would they why would they be excited for it? Cuz like there was 15, but that was like what? How what was the time gap between 15 and 16?
Oh, I don't remember.
Cuz like it's like 7 years or something. It's
Something to
it's
that effect.
it's
Yeah.
wild. So like you can go
Mhm.
through like all of grade school and never have like a new Final Fantasy game come out. And so like
Mhm.
so basically they're just playing Fortnite. Uh and it's the only game that they'll play the
Mhm.
entire like grade school career, right? It's like
Right.
it's wild to me that I mean, so that's one of the things
Mhm.
that my thoughts like in my I know it's not a direct response to what they were asking, but
Mhm.
that's one of the immediate thoughts that came to mind here.
Mhm.
Is like what Square Enix and what other games are competing with at this point.
Mhm.
It's really a different kind of situation because like
Oh yeah.
Fortnite's been big. It's been huge for gosh, when did Fortnite come out?
Good question. I don't play it, so I don't know.
2017. 2017.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
like 7 years ago. Like
Mhm.
and it's just been it's been at the top ever since it came out and they're still pumping money into it. They're
Mhm.
still developing it and it's
Mhm.
still a powerhouse. Like
Yeah.
so like that's one of the things like if Final Fantasy 16 had somehow achieved the level of like acclaim and success of Fortnite, it would still be dethroned after a short while because Squaresoft or Square Enix isn't continuing to pump money into it to add more content to do this and that. Like it feels like in order to compete with games today, with those games today, the major players today, like you have to have essentially just a game that never ends. Which is,
That's
I
where
guess, in
Final
a lot of
Fantasy
ways,
14 comes in.
exactly that. Um,
Yeah.
so it's just pretty wild.
Yeah, I would compare like games more to books than other medium because a piece of music is like 3 to 5 minutes, let's say. Watching a movie is like 2 to 5 hours, let's say. But reading a book is the same level of time commitment to a traditional RPG, anyways. And when people come to me and they say, "Oh, you never played what is it called? Some of these like a Grandia or like Lunar or
Hmm.
some of these more obscure but also very
Awesome.
notable good
Yeah.
RPGs that some of them I play, some of them I haven't. And whenever I say I haven't played it, they're like, you haven't played it, but you gotta play it. That's when we run into the issue of, well, with what time? Because
Yeah.
that time is competing against a new game that just came out that could be equally good. So what am I really playing? I only have 24 hours. So we joke about it, but I tell Derek like, "Oh, you need to play Near Automata. It's like once in a lifetime kind of game, or like you need to play more East because they're great." Yeah, but realistically, what time does he have? Like, what is he giving up so
I'm
he can play
still
these?
struggling to finish Lufia too. Like not be just because I can't find the time to stream it anymore at this point. Like I
Mhm.
finished that cave, but I haven't played it since then. It's been 2 weeks.
It's
I know.
so many things.
I need to get back
Um,
into it, and I will soon, I promise.
and then you have live service games, which really have no comparison to any other form of media that I can think of. Like
Yeah.
there's no other entertainment that continuously grows and continuously updates, and you continuously play like over the same and interact with the same world and medium. uh I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but certainly not like a movie. It has a start and end, not music. Book series ends. Like I can't think
Hmm.
of like
One Piece, a TV show. One Piece just never ends.
anime. Yes. Okay, there's that, but yeah, it's extremely rare to have something like that
Yeah.
basically doesn't end. You can just infinitely play it as long as you're not bored of it,
You can
right?
infinitely take enjoyment from it, and you can also infinitely throw money into it, which
Yes. And
is
yeah, that's what you're competing against now. It's
yeah.
so I don't think it's about like new versus old games. I mean, that's one part, but I think it's more about traditional like games with definitive ending versus this new live service game that has infinite playability, so as long as you're okay with doing the same thing over and over again, more or less,
Yeah.
right? But that's up to the person,
I had
is
one more thought on this. I also wanted
yeah.
to throw out is that when you release a game today, also you're also not just competing against every game that was ever released and every game that you've released, but also you're competing against the nostalgia
Mhm.
of those games. And what I mean by that is that, like, if you haven't played, oh, say, Secret of Mana
Mhm.
in 10, 15 years, you've probably got a really inflated sense of like how good that game was. And I learned about that. Like
Mhm.
it was fun. It was great at the time, but it was really Seiken Densetsu 3 that just took the series to a whole other level. That is playing Seiken Densetsu 3 or Trials of Mana felt like what I remembered Secret of Mana playing like, but then if you go back and play Secret of Mana, you're like, oh. So like a lot of times when you're competing, like releasing new games, you're like, oh, this doesn't even compare because
Mhm.
this other game, this old game was so much better. But it's like, yeah, but you also experienced that game when like you didn't have bills or stress or like
Mhm.
a job. And the worst thing that you had to worry about in life was like asking your crush if they liked you, yes or no, circle one.
Oh,
like,
jeez.
like.
On a Valentine's Day card, will you beat my Valentine?
Exactly. Like, so you're not like just competing against like the game, but like just having also experienced these old games in like
Mhm.
a time that is just objectively better than anything you have going right now. Like, you
Man,
don't have
those
to worry about cooking. You just have food given to you. Like, life was good,
life was
man.
very good.
For maybe not for everybody, but for a lot of us, like
Yeah.
it's just there's so many things that make those games ever so more rose tinted than you even
Mhm.
realize. So
Yeah. It's hard, man. But and there's just that many more developers too. We haven't even touched that piece. Like all the indie
oh yeah,
developers, like there are just that many more people, that
no
many
doubt.
more games.
If I
Yeah.
swear, if Sea of Stars was released on on the Super Nintendo, dude, people would like rave about it the way they do with Chrono Trigger. I swear to God.
Right.
Like they
Right.
no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But you know, but it came out today, and people don't. Same with Chained Echoes, and
Mhm.
same with probably Sacred Fire, and so many of these awesome indie games today. Um, if they'd come out, you know, in the times that they're emulating, dude,
Mhm.
it wouldn't even be a question. They would be like top tier SNES
I mean,
titles.
isn't that basically any kind of like artistic work though? Like if you look at a lot of books or movies or pictures, drawings, like any kind of art endeavor, and you say, well, had this been released 20 years ago, this would have been like top of the chart. But now it's just like another thing,
Hmm.
like things that evolve anyways. maybe not so much about music anyways, because boy, that's a hot take for people who thinks music back then is better than now. But a lot of the paintings, like a lot of these like crazy style, this would have been like the Mona Lisa if you can take it back 200 years. But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not as crazy, but when games evolve that much in the last decades, like you can't help but think that that's basically the same deal with a lot of other medium.
100%.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know that was a whole lot of tangents for one super chat, but thank you, still alive. Appreciate it.
Always great questions.
Fluffy Dogs resubscribed as a member here. Said,
Hey!
June hype. Glad to see your lovely faces. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And then they said, considering improved software and hardware emulation, as well as the ever rising cost of video games, how do you see companies that survive the AAA crash adjusting in the future? Considering the improved software and hardware emulation. Okay, so various forms of emulation, as well as the ever rising cost of video games. How do you see companies that survive the AAA crash? So after a AAA crash, how will those companies adjust for the future?
That's I mean, I'm not sure what the AAA crash is, or are you saying that there's an imminent crash
So,
that's coming
I think
with
that
AAA titles?
that is something that has been brought up in gaming discourse lately, especially as it relates to like Square Enix and ROI and stuff. Basically, if a AAA game cannot match your return of investment with like the rate of the stock market, like say the S&P 500 or something like that, then it's not worth it for investors to invest in the games that make the AAA. They'd be better off just throwing it in the stock market and watching number go up. So like, I think that this is a couple of factors here, is that the stock market has been going bonkers lately over the last, since, well, COVID. So it's harder to justify putting money into making AAA games that underperform when Fortnite's just gonna continue to, hoover up children's money. and
Right.
and meanwhile the stock market is going, doing what stonks do. So that all kind of culminates in the question of like, is there a AAA future? Because I mean, AAA is a financial term to like talk about like the ROI of a potential investment. So is there such a thing as a AAA game at this point if they don't sell?
For example, like if I'm Square Enix and I'm making another game, like say Final Fantasy 17, I can make it just marginally better than FF16 and call it pass, rather than trying to aim for leaps and bounds. And there will be some money saving in between, and I can still call that my AAA title as far as like it being a flagship is concerned, because it's just really how I define it, right? Like, or how the industry can look at it and say, yeah, that's the AAA title. I don't think that it's suddenly going to disappear. Like, we'll always have AAA titles. It's just a matter of how much of a improvement, quote unquote, as far as like fidelity and just all these other things. Maybe they'll come to realize, hey, actually, we're at a pretty good spot, and everything that we do is just diminishing return. Like, I'm not getting the same improvement with $1 million I did $1 million before. And at some point, I'm just going to stop throwing in millions to make it look like 1% better, when it honestly doesn't matter. We've hit the threshold of how much people care. We don't need to put more money in. Is that still a AAA title? I think so, because that's still my flagship and it still looks gorgeous. It just doesn't cost as much as it
Mario
had been
is still a
3
AAA.
years ago.
Mario is a AAA property for sure.
Yeah.
And those numbers sell like crazy. I think that if such a thing as a AAA crash occurs, I'm not going to really comment on like the likelihood of that, but if it occurs, I think that what I would probably expect to see shift is the companies that previously made AAA games, maybe they'll just become investment companies. You know, I mean, why not? I mean, if your ultimate goal is to make money, then just make it on the stock market if you cannot make it through the games. And that will, at least some companies will do that. Maybe if such a thing happened, maybe it would have to do with an oversaturation of like games being created. It's a very competitive, you know, industry right now, and maybe it's too competitive for all of the people who are competing within it. You know, that's a distinct possibility. And so that shift to becoming investment firms or whatever, or doing something else entirely, may shift and open up the market for you know, whoever is left. Alternatively, people who are independently just interested and in love with the idea of making games, indie studios, private companies like Nintendo, who are not, well, I guess Nintendo isn't, they are a public company, aren't they? But there are independent private companies who might just continue creating games because they enjoy making games and are into the art of making video games. And you know, I think that some businesses still operate in that mindset. I know that mine certainly does. Super Derek Media, as my company, it certainly isn't necessarily pursuing, you know, the most bang for buck return on investment. If I was, I'd be doing a Fortnite channel, right? But I do what I enjoy, and I'm just happy making my own, you know, piece of the internet. And so I feel like there's got to be several other companies out there that also are just happy doing what they do without the dollar being their top priority.
Vanillaware.
Yeah, exactly like Vanillaware. So
We almost went bankrupt again.
so all of that considered, yeah, I think that it would be a shift toward more of like an indie kind of scene, but maybe indies that got bigger, you know, indies that continue to grow and still be private companies. That would be what I would like to see following a AAA crash, and maybe they'll continue to make games and grow and make their own cool stuff and make bigger games. Or maybe it'll be a shift towards more smaller titles that don't take up as much time, to be more competitive for your time and for your dollar. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sad about AAA crash, by the way. It feels like it's a self-inflicted wound, you know, at this point, because we already seen signs that AAA doesn't necessarily sell. So if you're still not pumping your brakes right now, at that point, it's a self-inflicted wound. If you still want to throw millions and millions and millions into the next biggest thing with the top of the line technology and everyone will love us again, you're delusional. So I don't know. I feel like anyone who's seen what's happening in the last year or two should really put the brakes on and say, yeah, maybe we don't want to blow that much money into this thing.
Probably.
And just, you know, release what we've got and it will be fine. Like, people
Start
are
with
not.
Start with projections and then work your way backwards to a budget.
I would like to make $5 billion next year. How do I do it? Let's work backwards.
Or
We'll figure it out.
realistically, we will make 5 million off of the next game we release. How do we make a game that will profit from that?
Yes, we designed the game to make exactly that much money for us.
Exactly.
We know because we have the projection. It's never wrong. Oh boy.
All right. So next up, Fluffy Dog says, speaking of East, I recently decided to get an analog duo. Ooh, nice. Those are
Duo.
Oh yeah. It's the TurboGrafx PC Engine Duo.
Okay.
But
Yes,
it's
yes.
FPGA. Yeah, they look sick. It's a what games would you recommend picking up? Does East Books 1 and 2 make the list? I don't even have a Turbo, but I have East Books 1 and 2 on Turbo CD.
And you haven't played it.
I don't have a Turbo CD. And they said, I'm not opposed to getting an EverDrive, but I definitely want physical media as well. Oh, that's cool, man.
Mhm.
So, I mean, Newtopia is not an RPG per se, but the Newtopia games are kind of Zelda-ish.
Mhm.
So I think those are a couple of the ones that I would recommend. East 1 and 2 for sure. My knowledge of the TurboGrafx library though is woefully not that wonderful.
Mhm.
So I just know that it's a super cool system that has like the graphics of like a Nintendo Entertainment System, but the color palette of like a Sega Genesis.
Mm.
It's like it's yeah, it's cool. It's or maybe a Super Nintendo color palette. It's nice, and then the CD attachment is nice. I don't know,
Mhm.
but the EverDrive would be really useful for playing ROM hacks and fan translations, and I think that's where I would probably start like looking for certain options. Do you
Yeah.
know
Sorry. No.
much about Turbo or
Nope.
that's all right.
Yeah. I have my PC Engine, so there's that, which is TurboGrafx, but I
Mhm.
I can't distinguish all of them because I've only ever had the PC Engine, and they're a little different, and it's different market, same machine.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I just don't know much about it other than just the PC Engine that I played on, which I have games back there right now. Like for example, East 1 and 2, which I have the hard disk of, and I am very proud to be the owner of that.
All right. Well, next up we got this message here from Leo Lightfellow who says, "Love the channel. Find the videos and streams very relaxing." Well,
Hey, appreciate it.
yeah, very much appreciated. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next question. Any shot either of you two gentlemen continuing the party with a follow-up stream on Twitch?
Oh, tonight?
Yeah, I guess so. Are you
I
going to be on Twitch after this, Baku?
No, I have an essay I need to write still.
Oh man.
That's due tomorrow. I was telling Derek about this, but I had planned to stream actually. Funny that you asked, but where I'm actually over in Twitch right now. I'm playing a game called Imposter Factory. It's the folks. It's from Freebird Games. They've made To the Moon. They've made Finding Paradise. It's these games that just get you to feel things.
Nice.
Just oh my god. I don't think if Derek's ever played a Freebird game, but they are
Mm-mm.
notorious for telling amazing stories that really hits you in the gut. So it's getting there. I'm like midway maybe through Imposter Factory, which is like the third game in the series, and it's hitting quite a bit. I can see the drama brewing, and the good times about the fade, and then I had to sleep because it was like 2:40 a.m. So I was planning to play that, but I am writing this paper that I have to reference like 15 other papers to write, so it's not fun. But
Shoot.
only 3 papers this semester, so it's like 3 big papers and I'm done. So, we'll see. What about you, man? Are you streaming still? Like, are you even streaming? Do you even have time to stream?
Uh, I should have some time to stream later this week. I had a video project that I was working on. It's not out
Mhm.
yet, but I will be releasing it soon, I hope. That required some off stream playing and video production and stuff. So
Oh, jeez.
yeah, so that also cut into some of my Lufia 2 time, but I should have some time again here soon, I think.
Okay.
Um, so that's pretty exciting. And finally, we got one last super chat from Bro Dude Man Bro, who says
I saw that one.
who says
Uh,
I love you, Baku.
love you too, man. Thank you so much for that. I saw
Uh,
that one. I was like, what the hell was this?
oh, you got a fan. That's cool.
I know. I know.
All right. Well, everybody, it has been a great evening. I hope you enjoyed tonight's podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up or a like on whatever podcasting platform of choice you tend to use, whether it be YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever's left. And we'll see you all in the next one. But before we go, Baku, have you got any final thoughts for the people?
We stream on Twitch sometimes.
sometimes.
Find us in the description. Drop us a follow. Come hang out. You will see what happens when Derek is not on YouTube and is completely unhinged.
Oh, jeez. All right. Take care, everybody.